Hello, and welcome to episode 5 of the second season of the Inches and Cubes podcast. We are your Toronto-based Warhammer 40k podcast. As always, it's me, Point and Click Nick.
Me, Mr. Fist Paul Fowler.
And me, Adam, the truest axe. And
Matt.
special guest.
Yeah.
Did we come up with a name for you?
Yeah, you did. I didn't use it.
And we're back.
What do you got, Nick?
A St. Mary Axe, Canadian Best Bidder.
Say it again?
Canadian Best Bidder. I was going to say Canada's Best Bidder, but it's Canadian Best Bidder. Paul brought this on a couple weeks ago, and it's really good, and it was at the LCBO, so I picked it up again.
Sweet. We all enjoyed it. We all gave it a double thumbs up.
Yep.
Yep.
For those of you who don't know out there in podcast land or in Twitch land, we like to review our favorite craft. Well, we don't even know if they're our favorite. We like to try new craft beers and sample them for you guys so that you know what's cool and happening.
Yeah, it's true.
All right.
It tastes good.
Sometimes. And
Well,
then-
you know, hold on, but
Yeah.
this beer side is great, but why are we here? What do we do here on this podcast? We went right into a beer. We should probably tell people, maybe.
Track it back.
Yeah. Maybe let's tell them that we're going to do an episode on LVO.
I think you just did.
What?
Yeah, so we're going to talk to Matt. He was our man on the ground.
Yep. Johnny on the spot.
Our inside man. No, can't you use man twice there?
Yep.
It doesn't matter. You were there. That's
We prefer
important.
the term people, Nick.
Yeah,
It's
so
more
you
inclusive.
did a serious piece of investigative journalism,
Yes.
investigating some... Oh, wait, no, that was something else. Yeah, you just went and had fun. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we're going to talk about that for our main topic, as well as... That's it. That's our main topic.
Yeah. What do you want to call this episode? I want to do Leaving Las Vegas.
LVO.
Okay, we'll call that the B pile. I want Leaving Las Vegas.
Leaving Las Vegas?
Or-
What's the,
Or Viva Las Vegas.
what was the...
But a Warhammer pun.
Las Vegas is in Warhammer. Go on.
What's that movie with the, like, super warped
Fear and
cover?
Loathing in Las
Fear and
Vegas?
Loathing, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. There it is.
Fear and
We're done.
Warhammer in Las Vegas.
Well, I was hanging out with Shane.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So is that a lot of fear or a lot of loathing?
No, well, neither. No, but
Okay.
there was Burning Man references, and we saw some cool stuff while we were down there.
Nice.
There was firing guns. There's firing guns in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
And in Warhammer.
There was less ether, probably,
Then Warhammer?
than in Fear and Loathing in Las
Oh, yeah.
Vegas.
What about
There's-
Quaaludes?
They don't do lewds in that.
No?
No.
Uppers, downers, screamers, lappers.
An entire galaxy.
Yeah.
I, too, went to university.
Yeah.
But, as always, we're going to do our hobby desk. Which is, for our Twitch viewers, as we already said, you can look at our hobby desks. They're on the Twitch stream.
Yeah.
This really adds another dimension to it.
Isn't it crazy?
They can't see you pointing because they're listening in their ears.
I know, but they wouldn't have known I pointed if you didn't tell them.
So, listeners, if you look down on the bottom left corner of your podcast,
So, Matt, what have you been working on?
not a ton. I've been a little tied up with work lately, but I did have to get a couple things done for LVO. So, I got 2 Avenger Gatling cannons painted up for my knights, and they're third-party ones from Dreamforge. That would have gone
They look
on,
cool.
They would have gone
Look
on the
really
Leviathan.
cool. Yeah.
I like the look of them. The only thing I had to do to convert them was to put a little flamer nozzle on them because the GW Gatling cannon comes with a heavy flamer.
Really?
Yeah,
Right.
it never gets used.
Seems like an odd weapon gun. combo.
Yeah, it does. That I had to paint up 2 more Dragoons because I brought the squad of 4 Dragoons, and I've been working on some Primaris Marines for my Sons of Sidonia, which are coming along really, really slowly.
But they're coming along.
But I'm liking how the captain's coming along.
Yeah, I was going
Because
to
he
say,
looks
they look good.
a lot different than the box Primaris captain
Nice.
in the terrible, terrible armor.
And you, the Mark III helmet looks really good on the Ancient that you did?
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. So while you were talking, I opened up a cowbell from Blythe Brewing Company. Wait.
What?
There's so many names on here. I can't
know.
even tell what's what anymore.
What are you drinking?
Absent Landlord?
Yeah, you're drinking Absent Landlord.
By Cowbell, which
Yes.
is a brewing company in Blythe,
Yes.
Ontario. There, we figured it out.
That is a mother trucker to read.
Even though we've had this beer on the podcast before.
Have we? Yeah. Oh, okay.
I quite like that beer.
There you go. Yeah. It was founded in, I don't know, something in Drummond, something about a wealthy landowner in England, and blah, blah, blah. I'll let you know how it is.
It's delicious.
It is delicious.
Nice.
I'm thirsty.
Drink up.
That's a very unique Japanese craft beer right there.
I'm drinking Sapporo. It's a normal beer that you can find in normal beer stores.
Everywhere across the country?
Because that everywhere across the country,
I
from
swear to
Ontario to BC.
Sapporo actually has a great story.
Yep.
Yeah, so
And you could probably look it up out there.
no, fine.
Adam, what are you working on?
Oh, man, I had so much fun this
You're
week.
such a dick. It's a history story.
Yeah, and we...
Okay, fine.
And it's a 40K podcast.
I know, I had to get you back off the beer train once.
So, I finished up a big commission this week, which is always fun. I didn't put the pictures there because they're over on my Battle Brothers Facebook page. You can check them out if you want. But I did 10 Sisters of Silence. They're all done. I think I mentioned that before. And then I finished the 6 Castellan robots, along with the 2 Data Smiths, a converted Tech Priest Engine Seer out of a Data Smith, and then Belisarius Call.
Damn,
And
I
the
want to see these.
Yeah, they were fun. And the request was paint them like the GW Studio Necrons.
Like
But
the
they're
teal
admin.
ones?
Yeah, like the green with silver.
Oh, okay, like the original Necrons.
Yeah. And it was fun. And the only tweak to it was red robes, because none of the Necrons really have robes, and some battle damage.
Sounds
Yeah, that's
good.
Do you know what he's running them as? Fact, like Forge World?
Probably
wise?
Mars.
Probably Mars. Oh, yeah, it's
Oh.
called, so it has to be Mars. Right.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go. And then for myself, I had a lot of fun just building all the rest of the stuff for my 30K list for our event coming up at the end of February. So I built up 9 more Marines. I've been running my plasma squad without really a discernible sergeant. So I made a sergeant for my plasma squad. And then I converted up 4 Marines to have underslung to represent the Suspensor missile launchers.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
those are really fun.
yeah. And what do? Like they turn the weapon to assault, but they
Half
lose
range.
half range.
Yeah.
Which is so. Even if you're in rhinos, it's so worth it because you're just like, haha, I've got 2 missiles shooting out of a rhino.
Yeah.
It's so good.
That's a really good anti-anything tank.
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
Yeah, it's really cool. So then to pump the squads up to 10 so I could take 2 missiles in each squad, I needed to paint a couple more Marines. So just 4 regular Bolton Marines coming along. And then a lot of my Marines, because I painted them super quick, they don't have any pouches or grenades or anything on them, or the extra close combat knives and stuff. So I got all of those things up on racks ready to be painted and just
Oh, nice.
glued
That's
on.
what you were working on.
Yeah, I looked at that kind of weird scaffolding you had, and I was like, what is he at? What is he even trying to do right now?
That's how you paint fast.
Okay.
Oh, I just realized if you're within 12 inches with those missile launchers, they're now Blitzing Skill 5.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh, no.
So the Sons of Horus have a special rule where all of their assault, rapid fire, and pistol weapons get +1 BS when they're within 12 inches.
Yeah, they're really good. Especially in Zone Mortalis, you're just like firing missiles down the corridor at somebody.
I don't think I have those squads in my Zone Mortalis list.
Mm.
Yeah, I think I left them as my classic Zone Mortalis list.
Makes
for the
sense.
most part, yeah.
Cool.
Which I actually found out my classic Zone Mortalis list isn't legal.
Why?
Because too many troops, believe it or not.
How many troops you got?
I think you only get 3 in the combat.
Yeah.
And I was running 4 troops.
Yeah, but it's may be taken as compulsory troops. Or is it must?
No, it tells you have this slot, this slot, this slot, this slot, and this slot.
No, but my
That's
point
it.
is if you're taking Pride of the Legion, I don't know if it's may take veteran tactical squads as troops or must take veteran tactical squads as troops.
With Pride of the Legion, it's your compulsory need to be
Right, so once you have the 2...
You can put 1 in elites.
Yeah, well, cool.
Yeah,
Either
good to
way.
know. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Too late now, can't switch my list.
No, yeah.
So, Paul, what about you?
I've been finishing up the Custodes for the event. I got the Contemptor completely finished last night. Really pleased with how the gold turned out.
I agree.
It's a good recipe for the Contemptor gold armor. So it's just Balthazar Skyro Axe, the bronze.
Okay.
Then you hit it with a wash. Then you do the bronze again. Then you do a 50-50 bronze silver line highlights here and there just to pick out details. And Bob's your uncle. That's done.
Nice.
Bob's
not my uncle.
I'd like to put forward an exception to our normal rule so Paul can talk about something really cool.
Yes.
Did he buy it?
Purchases for the next minute
Are allowed.
count as hobby progress.
Oh, God, Dorn's on his way! So, friend of the podcast, Mike Cam, he was at the Weekender, and I just shot him a Facebook message. I was like, oh, dear God, please go buy Dorn. He was like, I don't know how much it is. And I was like, I don't think that matters. So,
Such a cool
Open
pose.
season on Paul's wallet if
Yep.
you have Dorn.
Yeah.
Such a cool pose.
honestly, this week has been so bad to my Warhammer wallet because I was like Dorn, and then I got a Land Raider Crusader for a couple of bucks, and then what else did I buy? I don't know. And then it was just so many things where I was like yes, and the little TD app on my phone was screaming what are you doing?
Smoking, messaged.
So anyways, all right, that was the brief aside of what I've
60
purchased.
seconds is over.
Yeah. And yeah, so then I went and refinished all the bases on the Custodes, just putting grass and stuff to match the Contemptor's base. I think it looks a lot better. They look really finished now. And I also redid the blades of their weapons because they looked a little bit flat. Did a little bit of work on a Whirlwind that I want to paint. Did a little bit of work on the scouts for the tournament. I sourced all the bits, and I'm going to chop up their sniper rifles because I don't like the idea of the sniper rifles having cords. It's a weird thing on the this.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because 40k sniper rifles fire a laser
Yeah.
and then a little poison dart.
Right, so
Or they're just high focus las weapons. I'm never sure.
I'm cutting the wires off, and I'm putting magazines on them.
Nice. I noticed the picture with the pile of scouts, and I was like, what's going on with this? It's like a pile of what looks like almost garbage at first, and you're like, oh no, those are Space Marine scouts.
Yeah, because they were for my old Space Marine army, a homebrew fluff called the Cloud Giants.
Okay.
So I stripped them down ages ago, but I primed them with something that I think Krylon. So just it's on the
Oh,
Can't get it off.
it's
Can't
not
strip
coming
it.
off.
yeah, you don't even need to. So, yep. So I'm going to put, like I said, the bare heads on those, change the guns so that they just have magazines instead of wires, and I might shorten the barrel down to just the silencer, the suppressor.
It never made sense to me that sniper rifles are so big and they're only 36-inch range.
Yep.
You know how to do it in the AdMech.
Yeah.
It's 60-inch range sniper rifles.
Yeah, and this thing comes with its own stick,
Yeah.
an assist stick. So yeah, I think that's everything I've done. It's been a full week.
Yeah.
Good.
Also, I'm so friggin' stoked for Dorn. Actually, I think I broke a sweat. I did.
You did. Yeah.
I broke a sweat talking about Dorn.
Yeah, so I just keep spending more time into the Falchion. I'm like, you know what? I could finish this tonight. And then I'm like, I'm nowhere near finished this 7 hours later. There's just so much stuff. And you're painting stuff, and then you put it down. I'm like, just spent 20 minutes on a part that no one's going to see unless they turn the tank upside down.
You painted the inside, right?
No. So the Falchion will be done for the Horus Heresy event. And then the Chaplain just needs to be base. So Friday night I got the Micro Sol and Micro Set out because that stuff is amazing. And I threw some really cool decals on his shields, his legs, his arm. What I really like about Micro Sol and Micro Set is his right shoulder had a Mark III shoulder pad because he's wearing this weird model. Half of his body is Mark IV, half of his body is Mark III.
Well, because it's the champion model,
Yeah.
and I like the idea the Mark III side would be what would be the defending side,
Yeah.
and the more mobile side of him is the Mark IV.
Yes, the one that's
Sorry,
holding.
Mark III is not the stud armor, right?
Mark III is iron armor.
Yeah.
Oh, it's got the little ridge. The little Okay.
So his left leg like has the ridges above his knee and at the bottom, but his right arm is normal. So he took the what was I talking about? Shoulder pad, and there's not enough room there for the Emperor's Children logo decal.
Oh.
But with micro set, you just brush that on there, and it looks like it goes from like the bottom corner all the way up, and then over the ridge, the two ridges of the armor. And then just melts into it, and you're like, "Well, that actually looks really cool. Oh, we're gonna go with that."
Yeah, I've run into that problem putting it over like armor panels in Microsol. I find it really good. Like you just brush it on, let it sit for a while, and then you can kind of push it down.
Yeah, I use a Q-tip to kind of roll it out, and then it just like gets right into the armor panel, which is super cool.
Never tried it. I really should.
Yeah,
You'd love it.
Beauties.
I did pick up some Shapeways had a booth at LVO, and they had 3D printed, like raised up, preformed shoulder iconography with the skull and the cog.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
And so because all of my Primaris Marines are the starter box ones, so they don't have the removable shoulder pad, it's like, oh, perfect. It's just like, just plop it right on there and it's good to go. So I picked up like 10 of them were $5. Picked up 40 or something.
Nice.
So easier than Brass Edge. Yeah. I'm terrible at Brass Edge.
Everyone is.
It's
Yes.
awful.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why anyone who came up with that idea. The transfers are so much better.
Like I get the idea. It just I can't do it well.
No. And then I just continue to stare at the giant pile of orcs.
Does that count as hobby progress?
He just wakes up standing, like looking at them in his living room.
Mustering up courage just counts as hobby progress.
Yeah.
Because you need so much of it.
Well, no, because technically the deal is I have to finish paying the Death Watch first to give back to Phil. For the trade. So like the orcs aren't going to get
Can't
touched.
get too
They're
excited.
not going to get touched for a while, unfortunately.
I must say, your battle wagon conversions, though you did them when, whatever, you're
I was
14
like-
or whatever, they look really good.
Yeah, I can't wait to like actually paint them up to be good. They look like orcs.
Yeah.
They look like orc heads. I really like them. Because back then I think battle wagons didn't have a model.
Oh, what were they converted out of?
Land Raiders.
Oh.
One has the Death Strike. No. I picked like wrecked Land Raiders that people were throwing away as terrain. I picked up the Death Strike missile from a friend, and one of the Land Raiders has the back half of the Death Strike missile as its engine,
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
just poking out the back of it.
One of my Lehman Russes is from, originally I played Orcs back when I worked at the GW store, and that's when you could take the looted wagons that had a transport capacity, and they were open top, so hacked the back off of Lehman Russ and used it, and it was a looted wagon with a kill cannon. Then I started playing Guard, and I needed a Lehman Russ, so I had to unconvert it back with Plasticard and build the back onto the Lehman Russ, and it looks terrible. It's the only time I've had to un-orcify something.
Nice. So yeah, good hobby progress. I've actually, I guess this is hobby progress, but it's more from a game design point of view. The Horus Heresy campaign planning committee guys, Chaz and John and Mike and Connor and I have been putting a lot of work into the campaign as well. So we hope you guys enjoy it when you come. It'll be a lot of fun to play.
Proud of you.
Yeah, you're really going to have a lot of fun. There'll be some weird stuff happening.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Might be some Tyranids.
Sounds good. The Mega Arachnid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there might be a certain someone who's really, really nice controlling them.
The nicest person in the club, you might say.
Yes.
So speaking of playing games,
Yeah.
should we move over to the General's armchair?
Oh, God.
I believe so. It's
Yeah,
comfy.
We
Take
got
a
some
seat.
fun stuff to talk about. Why don't you talk first?
Sure.
Matt?
Did you want me to cover the LVO stuff, or...?
Maybe save that.
Yeah, save that.
Yeah.
So just,
Okay, so then I don't know any games played.
Okay.
Okay, talk about one.
Yay.
Pick one.
No, we'll leave it there.
Okay,
We'll float
sounds
together.
good. Sure. I'll go. I actually played games.
Look at you.
It was fun. We went to an unknown location, and
Invite only. I think it was a speakeasy somewhere.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and it was a friend's birthday, and so we had some beers and played some Warhammer. It was good.
Some of us might have had more than some beers. But yeah.
Yep.
It's a lot of fun.
Oh, buddy, I made the mistake of having like a couple of pints before I showed up. Like a friend of mine that lives on my street was like, "Hey, I'm at Clinton's. You want to like swing by for a pint?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll have like 4 pints." So then I came.
Yeah, you're pretty drunk by the end of it.
Yeah, but we came up with. Can I talk about other games and then we can get into this because we're all part of this?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah. So I played two
He just likes
normal
talking
games.
about games.
Yeah.
Does he?
Yeah.
So I played 2 games. I played Connor. I tried it on a new Chaos list against him. Still can't figure out how to crack his Dreadstar. It just kills me. Like, his Redemptor Dreadnought just mowed down a squad of Noise Marines without even blinking, and I was like, cool. How does that even happen?
Yeah, how does that work? Teach me how to use my Redemptor Dreadnought.
You put him next to a Chapter Master who rerolls all
Hits
failed
him.
hits.
That'll help.
Yeah.
And then reroll fail wounds of 1 from a lieutenant. Then you give the lieutenant the Storm of Fire Warlord trait, so every 2 wound roll of 6 is an additional -1 AP.
You know what's really funny? Storm of Fire next to double shooting aggressors.
That is funny.
Yeah. So yeah, that was an interesting game. We played one of the new missions from Chapter Approved, which I can't remember. Oh yeah, it was like the 3 objectives in the middle, and if your character stayed on it, you got additional bonus points. He uses Celestine in his super competitive list, and she's just the worst.
Has he painted
No.
it yet?
No, because he's a
jerk.
scrub.
But the movie,
Connor, we know you're out there in Twitch land. You're scrub.
Scrub Connor.
the moving 24 inches, and just being able to throw her into an army and be like, yeah, I move 24 inches and I charge, and I'm strength 7 with 6 attacks. I'm like, you like more attacks than a demon prince.
Who, Celestine?
Yeah,
She is a demon prince.
I know. She's that technically.
Have we not?
But Connor stopped me in that game, but yeah, gave me a kind of push to like change the way I normally run my chaos. So then I played our first game of the league. We've got a league going on. So I played Cam Bond on Saturday during the day. He was playing Eldar. And what can I say about Eldar? I can't find a weakness for them. They're tough, and everyone says no, they're not. They're really tough when everybody has a -1, -2, or -3 to hit.
That's pretty tough.
Yep.
At least dodgy.
Yep. They hit really hard, and they're really, really fast. I pulled out a tie on him because Noise Marines can shoot when they die, and at one point I was like, screw those Dark Reapers, I don't care. And I just threw my Noise Marines in the middle of his entire army, and he killed the entire squad, and then they killed all the Dark Reapers. I was like, yes. But Wave Serpents, I don't know how GW manages to make them so annoying every edition.
That's incredible, honestly. That's like a commitment to being annoying that I can't even fathom.
So I didn't realize this. I thought they just did this for the first wound. But when you hit a Wave Serpent with a weapon, it reduces the damage by 1 to a minimum of 1. So Overcharged Plasma just does 1 wound.
Cool.
Yeah, and you're just like, oh, cool, you have 2 of them.
Got to be Dark Angels and use a stratagem to make it work. Then
Yeah.
that's so dumb.
Don't rely on plasma.
Yeah.
Take proper anti-tank weapons.
Well, I did. Even las cannons. You're like, oh, I hit with 3, did 3 wounds. Oh, that's
2.
9 damage. No, actually, that's 6 damage.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh,
And if you're-
autocannon's doing 1. That's
Yeah.
Oh no.
And if you're
Yeah.
Primaris, you don't have anything.
No,
but
well that's
plasma.
true. Yeah.
We pulled out a tie. So the new thing that I'm trying to fit into my Chaos list, and it's
Sorry,
working
you're
quite
good.
well, is a Dreadclaw with 2 squads of Plasma Havocs and a Deep Striking Chaos Lord.
I got that Forgeable crutch.
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun because it allows me to kind of like put down a kind of like a flank with the Helldrake and guys and Rhinos. Yeah, so it's just a fun little thing. We played the Maelstrom mission Kill Confirmed, where you can't discard any card that is kill a unit, which is kind of fun.
I
Is it
like
new?
that one.
I don't
Yeah,
remember that.
it's a
new
chapter approved.
one. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I like Maelstrom. I know I've said in the past I really like it in 8th edition, and I continue to like it because it's fun, and it does make you be a little more tactical. And 8th does it way better with its 55 different tactical objectives.
Oh my god.
But they're different. They're fun. It's not so much Drunken Commander. And for some reason, that game we were both pulling things like secure objective 1 and defend objective 1. And you're like, cool.
Just double stack
Oh,
them.
I can do that.
Yeah, because there's more of those now.
Yeah.
So it's more likely to happen, and it makes it less of the drunk commander, like you said, which is good.
But yeah, Dark Reapers.
They are a thing.
Oh boy. Yeah.
We'll talk about those later when we highlight the top 4 lists of LVO.
Yeah, so back to what we were talking about before. Beer Hammer.
Oh boy.
So I posted before this event, because we talked about Beer Hammer rules, and I couldn't really find any Beer Hammer rules for 8th edition. I found a lot for 7th. So I just posted on the Warhammer 40,000 main fan site. I don't know if you guys saw that post.
I did see that
You saw
post. I didn't follow it up. Like, I didn't watch any comments, but...
That's where I got the idea from it.
Okay.
So I was like, we're hanging out tonight with some friends. We need an idea for Beer Hammer. And one person was like, when you finish a beer, you get a command point back. We forgot about that because maybe we had too many beers. And you can place it down as impassable terrain.
Now, here's the thing that I tried to do, and Nick didn't let me, and I think I tried this, is not putting the can down on its end, but putting it down on its side.
No,
That's totally fair.
no, it's not.
Rules
like
as
the can
written.
was down.
Rules as written.
You wanted to go down that road? You would have just been like, your entire army was basically in a 12-inch box the entire game. I would have just laid down my 10 beers that I drank throughout the game around.
We're lucky that I brought small cans, because we would have died.
Yeah, but no, Paul and I played each other. I brought orcs. You brought your Imperial Fists. We had a blast. Probably one of the funnest, that's not a word, but I don't care, funnest games I've played of 8th edition.
It was a good laugh.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, the orcs with the jump, it was just like, oh, they're everywhere. Then the Leviathan just turned around and 20-shotted them to, like, a fine green orky mist.
I love that.
Which is like, oh no. Alright, well, that's done.
Yeah.
Poor little guys.
Yeah, your Leviathan was definitely MVP.
Yep.
One of my personal goals in that game was to kill him, and I did.
Well, once he started getting wounded, I was like, you gotta get away from my guys.
Because he blows up on a 4-up.
He blows
Really?
up... No, he blows up on a 6.
Oh.
We looked it up, remember?
Oh yeah, you were like, he blows up on a 4. I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah, because in 30k, he blows up on a 5.
Yeah.
But he still does explode, like, 6 inches, and it's like D3 mortal wounds, so it's like, I don't want that happening near my captain.
That's a regular explosion.
It's bigger
Must
than...
be D6.
Must be D6.
Yeah.
Either way, I just didn't want him flattening squads, so I was like, you better run forward, my dude.
Yeah.
And then, so a couple things came up, and it's just, Paul hasn't been playing games lately, so this had to be explained to him multiple times by multiple people. May have been a couple reasons why. But when you charge out of Deep Strike, and you landed exactly just outside of 9 inches, you only need a 9-inch charge to get in.
Yes.
I don't. What? Really?
When you deep
Oh
strike?
yeah, right.
He thought you needed 10, and he wouldn't stop arguing with me.
I stopped eventually.
And then you started again 5 minutes later.
On the next deep strike.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that one. And then, the other one that we actually had an incident where the can't shoot at a character unless it's the closest model came up. Because I just hid 20 orc boys behind a mountain that was closer to his Leviathan than 2 weird boys who were just dancing in the open, smiting the Leviathan over and
And I
over
couldn't kill them because there were orcs behind the mountain.
The game.
It's the dumbest change they made.
The game I saw with Jesse being played in the second round. It was one of those Munitorum containers in the guy's deployment zone, and he puts 5 scouts right behind it, so you can't see them at all. And Celestine is standing behind them, like full view of everyone. And it's like, nope, scouts are closer.
Yeah,
can't shoot Celestine.
That is functionally the stupidest ruling. Like, I have no problem getting fussy about it.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I didn't have a bad time in this game because...
No, we had a fun time.
Because I was like, whatever, that's the rules.
And we died.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a great mission, though. So we played the supply drop mission.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to play, because we're, like, constantly reminding each other, like, you know, we actually have to wait, like, survive to the 3rd turn to secure objectives. I was like, oh, yeah. Oh, crap.
I'm nuts.
And we each held an objective. You got First Blood, I got Slay the Warlord, and nobody got Linebreaker because you killed everything of mine and your army's really slow.
You didn't get Slay the Warlord.
No, I did get Linebreaker.
Yeah,
I
you got
didn't get-
Linebreaker.
I didn't get Slay the Warlord. I got Linebreaker.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Also, I totally forgot that my rhinos could move when there was no one in them.
I had because I had surrounded them for most of the game.
Yeah, so I was like,
You
what?
got out and just sat there.
I was like, whatever, that's done. Don't need that anymore.
Well, he tried to drive his rhino on top of a building, and I'm like, you can't do that. I
On
was
top,
like, where
on
are
top of a beer can?
no, on top of a building.
No, on top of a Ministorum container.
You also tried to jump your Leviathan up like 6 inches on top of a container. You're like, he can climb. I'm like, no, he can't. He can't go
Why
up
can't
there.
he climb?
Because only infantry can go on.
He's got
levels.
legs.
But yeah, we only got the one game, and I'm glad. I couldn't have done another one.
No.
And Paul, what are your thoughts about that game?
Basically that.
Okay.
Nick took it all. No, it was great to bust out the newly painted aggressors. They didn't get a whole lot of play.
They're finished now?
They're not based.
Oh, okay.
But because I'm waiting to do all my bases for the event, just all in one batch.
Sure.
And yeah, anyways, but they did fire at a DACA jet. One guy left, shot down a DACA jet because he was just like,
Yeah, Dagger Jets are very good.
forget this. Yeah, boys, it's sort of like you're usually wasting high quality firepower on tons of them. So it's like, I should be shooting something else, but if I don't kill them right now and they get too close, I'm hooped. So
Yeah, I had to ask Paul math questions. Be like, what's 17 times 5? That's how many
lot of
attacks I
attacks.
get.
I was like, oh no.
I came over for one of those.
He's like, just roll them twice. I'm like, no. I'm gonna roll them all at the same time.
You're,
Dice bucket.
yeah,
Yeah.
you need to do the Simon thing where you have just pre-portion.
Yes, pre-portioned dice out.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Adam, you played game then?
Yeah, I played 2 games. So I played a 2v2 game with the birthday boy himself versus orcs and not Elysians. What are they called?
Scions.
Scions. And it was craziness because we had a lot of flamers. A lot of flamers. So my partner had 2 units. We played 1,500 points per person. So that's 3,000 points aside. We played Scorched Earth mission.
They were done before us.
Yeah.
They didn't drink as much as us.
Yeah, we probably had the same amount of cans on the table, but
No.
twice as many
You
people.
had half as many cans.
It was the same amount of cans with twice as many people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's half as much.
I accomplished my goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just my partner had 2 units of 6 aggressors, all with flamethrowers.
Of 6.
2 units of 6.
Whoa! I thought he had 2 units of 3.
No,
Nope.
no.
Dude went all in on aggressors.
That explains the.
Was that Nick?
Yeah,
Seen
Yep.
those.
yeah. And he had 2 dreadnoughts with twin heavy flamers as the main weapon and a heavy flamer. And he had a Land Raider Redeemer.
The flamethrower one?
Yeah. And
No, not that one.
And I had a unit of 3
Pennant engines.
Pension engines, so that's 6 more heavy flamers. I had 3 immolators, which had flamers on top, and Celestine has a flamer, heavy flamer.
It's flamers the whole way down, boys.
It was just such a it was so overkill that like it became a totally lopsided balance. Like the game was totally lopsided because of it, right?
Yeah.
So obviously we all know that flamers are the best thing for killing flyers.
Mm-hmm.
So his Valkyries just went down, like super fast, to the point where we were shooting our multi-meltas and stuff and melta guns at like orc boys because
There was nothing left?
there was nothing left. So so the orc player was running the whole like 90 boys with a bunch of characters, wall banner, big mech, all that kind of stuff. We'll get Matt back in the camera shot here. It's a good thing he's on wheels. We can just push him around. And yeah, it was just so unbalanced. We just had so much to deal with all the stuff. And one of the things that happened was with the beer can dropping, we finished our turn. Both of us had an empty beer can, and we're like, what do you want to do with these? Should we block that giant wall of boys from coming at us? We both put them right beside each other, right in front of the chase boys.
I feel like with that,
another one of Paul's attempted rules lawyering
is that you can't place a beer can after shooting's been declared.
Which is so funny.
Yeah, because I was like, I'm going to shoot at that, and Nick's like, go, 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 go. I was like, that can't be a thing.
That's
and then
the thing.
what did
Check
you
the
say?
rules.
You said the best. Sucks to be that guy. Which guy?
The guy who didn't drink the beer.
by the sounds of that list, I think you could just have stood there, never taken a shooting phase, and just be like, charge me.
Orcs
Just Overwatch.
Orcs could get around that, though.
Yeah?
Because they just got to stand just outside of 8. So they need an 8-inch
Oh, they
charge
reroll their
with
charges.
a reroll.
Yeah.
Yeah, which happened to us. Yeah, it happened. He got a unit of boys into my penitent engines that way, and didn't take any hits from it.
Oh.
So, yeah.
No, at D&D last night, Nick Wilkins was telling me that he's got like 95 hits.
No, 93 hits on a unit of 10 not Allegiance. Scions. Yeah, that dropped in.
And then Salamanders have the Flamecraft stratagem where they can get +1 to wound, so all of a sudden they're just wounding guys on 2s.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's nasty. Yeah.
Burn them.
And which led to the birthday boy obviously having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because he got to see that unit do what it was made to do. Which, I mean, in a normal scenario, most people would not let you get that off.
No.
So, yeah, they managed to burn one of our objectives. But the turn just previous, we basically got the domination card. We had every single objective on the battlefield. So,
Oh, God.
yeah, it was.
Oh, you're playing Maelstrom?
Yeah, we. No, it was
Adam
scorched. It was scorched earth.
Adam was playing Maelstrom. Everybody else.
Yeah, right. No, the scorched earth one is an eternal war, but it's still progressive.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So you get a point every turn for being on the objective.
Right, then you can burn them if they're in your opponent's deployment zone.
Yep. Cool. For D3.
I like that one.
I
like that. We played that one, me and Matt.
Yeah.
At your place.
When I was playing my guard, that one? That game?
Yeah, and I was... Yeah.
No. Wait.
No, it
I
was
was
at
playing
your
my
place.
Marines. Yeah, at my place. Yeah.
And I brought my Necrons.
Right.
Didn't
Yes. Yeah, that game went really bad.
I? Yeah, that went really cool for me.
Yeah.
But it, like, just talking about them, I realized that aggressors aren't frontline troops. They should be second wave.
Which is weird because they have flamers and power fists.
Right.
You think, like...
They still only have
Yeah.
Gravis armor, which isn't the
is
best.
Yeah.
No, they're just
Actually,
toughness 5.
Nick managed to pull off a charge because we baited the Bulgarins into charging something that we didn't care about, and he charged in with a unit of 6 aggressors on the Bulgarins and basically wiped the unit.
Yeah, because they have power fists.
Yeah,
They're really good.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And he was really happy about it.
Yeah, they're follow-up troops.
Yeah. Squishy mop up.
Yeah. It just sucks that the only vehicle you can put them in is a repulsor.
Yep.
And you can't put them in hey, we got a new follower. And you can't deep strike them or anything like that.
Raven Guard can, but you can't.
No, I can't, because I'm fists. I ignore cover, though.
Woohoo!
Woo!
That never came up in our game,
No.
because I was just out in the entire time. Or there was a beer can in the way.
Or we did all the terrain as line of sight blocking, because that's Nick's favorite.
What?
All the terrain was line of sight
Oh,
blocking.
bottom level of ruins?
No, it was just like hills and
everything.
stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff that you
Containers.
can't actually see through.
Sand dunes, yeah. So then my second game, and I think after that, we're all done?
Yeah.
Paul still wants to be a little more salty about line of sight blocking terrain.
Oh,
No, I'm
would you
good.
like more time?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
We can use it on the sidewalk.
So my second game was against better beard than Paul, Nick.
Not this Nick. And not the other Nick.
Yeah.
That Nick.
The other Nick.
Yeah. And he was playing Space Wolves, and he really wanted to try out Sisters. And he's getting up there and like wanting to like be really good at the game and be a little bit competitive and win pretty consistently. And he'd never played Sisters before. So it wasn't like I had any gotcha moments, but he was flying blind a little bit.
Yeah.
And I just ran. So this was still 1,500 points, and we played a Maelstrom mission, which I can't remember exactly which one, but they're very similar. So ran Celestine right into the center of his army, engaged a Razorback full of dudes, and engaged his Thunderwolf cavalry on the very first turn. And he decided to be conservative, walk his Thunderwolf cavalry back to try and get a countercharge later as the rest of my army came up. And basically that took them out of the game. His Wolfen came on the side and failed the 9-inch charge, and then got counter blasted by 2 units of sisters. So that's four Meltaguns and all their immolators shooting their flamers into them, and so just obliterated them. Celestine got countercharged by Bjorn and died, and then came back to life and supported the flank where the Wolfen came in and helped clear them out. And we called the game once he only had a twin assault cannon Razorback left.
You also had he had a bit of a handicap at that point
From
the alcohol.
just alcohol.
Oh, you know what I just realized? Is that I can paint my Razorback turret and swap it out on the Whirlwind, and now I have another transport. Neat.
Yeah, you did.
Good for me.
Yeah. His Razorbacks look really cool. He took the Mastodon anti-air gun
Yeah.
and plopped it in there.
That one.
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be using the Forge World double assault cannon.
Cool. Yeah, very nice.
Nice.
So that's it for games played. Should we take a little break and engage with our Twitch peeps?
Yes.
Yes.
Sweet. I hope you got questions. Here's a word from our sponsors. Battle Brothers Studios, a commission painting service passionate about making your miniatures and your gaming table look great. Our philosophy at Battle Brothers is this: your army is our army. Every model will be something you can be proud to show off. Send us a message on facebook.com/Battle Brothers Studios for a free quote and make that dream project come to life. We also have something special planned for the release of 8th edition of 40K. Right now, get 20% off if you commission us to paint an 8th edition starter set, or get a 10% off Army Bundle bonus for painting up your new 8th edition 40K Army. Inquire with us on Facebook for full details.
You know, when I'm not cracking cold ones, I'm popping paint pots and putting brushstrokes on miniature figurines. And you know darn right that I'm getting my supplies from thewarpainter.com, a hobby store in the Great White North. Thewarpainter.com is Canada's greatest hobby store for all things hard to find. Scale 75, Broken Toad, The Army Painter, and Valet Ho. All supporters of Encounter Wargaming get 10% off their first order with the code EWG10. They got you covered.
And we're back. We're going to really get into the main topic that we brought here today, which is
Foam all over the desk.
The LVO. What beer do you have?
the LVO.
It's a Yuzu Pale Ale.
Oh, you had that a little while ago.
Yeah, it's one of my, actually, this is probably one of my favorite craft beers in Toronto. It's just a pale ale with a Japanese citrus fruit called the yuzu, and it's really nice.
Nice.
I think you guys. I think you had that last time I was on the podcast. Looks familiar.
There you go.
It's got a nice citrus bite to
Taking
it.
all the way around.
Like I was saying, we were talking about LVO, and we have beautiful, beautiful Matt here.
To guide us through it.
Yep.
Yeah, but first, want to give a huge shout out to the Frontline Gaming crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did a great job.
Yeah, and for the not just for the LVO event, but when Games Workshop wasn't really picking up the slack a couple years ago, they really stepped up, and I think gave the hobby a new life in form of tournaments and just support. Because remember, when we started the club, we were all arguing about should we use the ITC FAQs,
The Lake of Bays one.
so that kind of stuff. And Games Workshop's really kind of just done what they were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've followed suit.
Yeah, so they've done a lot for the hobby.
To the point where now Games Workshop is like a hangers-on on the LVO.
Yes.
Yeah. You guys can stream Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, what industry can have, like, this periphery industry pop up that your main driving force is like, can we get in on that?
Yeah.
Can
we set up a small table in the corner.
Can we have a slice?
Go for it. Don't hold back.
Oh.
What's that?
It's a Lake of Bays Sparkhouse Red Ale.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just a red ale. And it's apparently best served at a particular temperature that I didn't do.
38 degrees Fahrenheit.
That would be crazy hot beer.
That'd be just above freezing temperature.
Yeah.
Oh, Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit, yeah. Here we go. Oh, because I also have a red ale. But this is a West Coast red ale. Also from Cowbell Brewing Company in Blythe, Ontario. This one's called Doc Purdue's Bobcat.
This is Radical Road. We'll go here on our next craft beer tour.
Okay.
Cool.
Because they have the craft beer passport.
Where at Lake of Bays?
There's a lake.
Get the hell out.
Don't have a stupid question.
I'm guessing
It's-
Northern
it's-
Ontario.
Yeah. It's up there.
What town?
Lake of Bays.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah. My dad's parents, who I haven't really met very much, so it's weird to call them my grandparents because I didn't know them. They had a cottage there.
It's from Baysville.
Baysville?
Yeah, so not crazy that I was asking.
But there's still, if the town is Baysville, there's still an area called Lake of Bays, though, because all the signs point
Well, wouldn't
towards...
the lake be the Lake of Bays?
Oh, maybe. Dude, I'm born and raised in Toronto. I don't know anything
But
north of
they're...
Finch.
Listen, it's not a brewing company in a lake. This isn't some, like, wet tart handing
Paul,
out
you're
swords.
having too
It's
much
Dr.
meltdown
Nose
over here.
undersea layer, except he's making craft beer.
So Matt, you went to the LVO.
Yeah, so...
Okay, so sorry to jump in here. We're going to set a little agenda because we want to cover a number of topics from the LVO. Because believe it or not, the LVO is not just about the main of 40K event. Okay, so Matt's going to run us through what the convention looks like. Okay, what the setup's like, all the different kind of stuff that's there. He's going to talk about his intimate involvement with some of the fringe events outside of the main 40K event. He's going to talk about the Sunday RTT. Some of his extracurricular activities in Las Vegas, just hanging out. And then
the ones that you're allowed to talk about.
Yeah, that's right. And then he's going to talk about the main tournament. Well, we'll all talk about the main tournament, highlight the top 4 lists, and then, of course, we will talk about the controversy that occurred in the semifinals and continued on into the finals. Because we have to talk about that. It's important because it's recent and it defines a lot of how we play our games. So, why don't you tell us about what's the event like, just going there, and kind of the grand scope of all the stuff that's included.
So, full disclaimer, I am not the most competitive person. This is actually the first ITC event that I've ever been involved in.
You didn't come to ours?
Nope.
Really didn't.
So, I decided to kind of go down. The RTT event for the LVO is the start of the 2018 Frontline Gaming Independent Tournament Circuit season. So I figured I'd go and kind of start there. It's the biggest single championship event in North America and caps off the Las Vegas Open Champions is the biggest single event and caps off the season. So anybody who's looking to get best in faction or like top placement in the ITC for the year also wants to go to the LVO and win because it contributes a lot of points to your ITC score.
Especially like it's a 460 person tournament this year.
Yeah, so the last I think they had a few drops, but it was 460. And the way it turned out, the two people who were playing in the finals at the LVO, that final would determine who not only won the LVO but who won the ITC for the year. So
Right.
it was an important enough game that like it was deciding an entire year's worth of competition.
Cool. So what else is there? Like, tell us the general setup. What's it like to just enter in the doors, and what do you see? What do you smell here?
So the main draw of it's
Feel.
the main draw of it's obviously the Warhammer event, but the 40K championships. But there's also a huge Age of Sigmar main event, and those are both going on in sort of a secondary hall that is as big, if not bigger, as the first hall. There's also a 40K friendly event that was going on later in the... Oh, did I hit a button?
No, that's my airbrush.
There's also
That's Adam's robot cat.
there's a 40K friendly event. There's a 40K narrative event. There's a few tables left open for open gaming. There was a whole bunch of tables devoted to 30K with lots of 30K events going on over the time. The exact structure and timing of all these events, I do not know. But in the open gaming, or in the sort of miscellaneous gaming hall, there was also plenty of Malifaux. There was plenty of Infinity. I didn't see any X-Wing, but I wouldn't have been surprised if it was there. I saw some Drop Zone or Drop Fleet Commander. There was one table with the guys from Catalyst Games doing a Battletech Solaris 5 or Solaris 7 game. There was Cthulhu Wars, I
What is
believe,
that?
which was a pretty obscure Cthulhu Zorthid Wars or something like that.
Go ahead and get my phone out.
Yeah, lots of wargaming. I mean, pretty much bolt action. Definitely, there was a huge bolt action area. Probably any mainstream miniatures game you wanted to play, there was an event for it there. Shane, Jesse, and I went down with the intent on taking part in 2 events, which were the Night Joust on the Friday, which a lot of people had said was a great casual way to get into a game there, and then the RTT, which stands for Rogue Trader Tournament, which is on the Sunday, and that's just an 8-person single elimination bracket style event that was meant to basically get you on the board for the 2018 tournament circuit if you placed well in that. Yeah.
So the Night Joust. How does one joust a knight, Matt?
So the Night Joust was set up so that it was every competitor brings a Imperial Knight, Wraith Knight, Storm Surge, or Khitan Demon Engine or Renegade Knight of power level no more than 28, which cuts off, I think, the Lord of Skulls and the Knight Atropos that has the Graviton Singularity Cannon. That's pretty much anything.
And the Las Cutter? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh no. That's the Torphoron.
The Atropos has a Las Cutter. And
Oh yeah, and the
Graviton
Las Cutter.
Singularity.
Yeah. So those 2 are out.
Yeah.
Anything lower than those were in.
Probably a good idea.
Although it didn't seem like Tyranid bioconstructs and stuff were in. But the Night Jousts are done different ways in different tournaments that I've heard of. Sometimes they do everybody at once versus everybody at once, and then like split it in half, with the winners being like which team won being split in half, and then they fight. The one that we did, since there was a bunch of 6x4 tables already set up, they basically put 4 people to a table. You started in the corner and roll off to see who goes first. You go till somebody's dead. Then they would take all the survivors, put them 4 to a table, go till one of them's left. I lasted about 5 minutes because I went 4th out of 4, and the guy who was closest to me across the short edge of the table, had the thermal cannon and took me down to like 4 wounds first shot of the game, and it was like, well, I'm going to get to go, but I'm down to 6-inch movement and hitting on 5, so I'm not doing a whole lot.
Your blood's in the water.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a fun event. You got to see a lot of knights. There was a few with some cool conversions.
I bet.
People doing up Chaos Knights and Nurgle Knights.
Jesse's looked fantastic.
And Jesse's, obviously, big shout out. Actually, I think no less than like 10 people on the last day of the tournament came up to Jesse and be like, "Is that a knight? Did you do that? That's really awesome." And it's like, because if you haven't seen pictures of it, it's got the Lord of Skulls body with the Imperial Knight legs and basically 2 battle cannons on the shoulders, and then
Helldrake claws.
I think Helldrake claws for hands, and it just looks awesome.
Yeah, Jesse's stuff, I love looking at it and just being like, I'm going to steal that idea. I'm just going to, like, stealing one of his throwaway ideas gets me, like, 4 good models.
And Shane, our dedicated ringer, didn't bring a knight down, so he used one of mine, because I brought 3. And Jesse and I got knocked out in the first round, and Shane, of course, went on to the second round of the Night Joust, and then got knocked out. But it was a good Friday night.
Okay. Okay.
Turns out there's high elevation in Vegas and not a lot of oxygen and sinus cold and flying, and I was pretty loopy for the first day. So I wasn't up too late to do any... Oh, what's going on there? Blacked out?
Looks like Twitch is reloading. Great, we lost the chat again.
It's okay, we're on the podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty much the Friday night. Saturday we just tooled around Vegas a little bit. Jesse and I fired some machine guns, which was cool. Did a little tour of the city at night. Ended up going to one of the oldest pubs in Vegas, which was called Atomic Liquors.
How old is the oldest pub in Vegas?
I think it would have been 50s.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
that.
that's not an old... Like, did you go to the Mormon Fort?
No, we didn't go to the Mormon Fort. We did go to the Atomic Testing Museum, which was neat.
I like the Mormon Fort because you can get a really good follower there.
Yes.
And he's got high...
Yeah, and he helps you get the X01 Power armor.
He's also good for Ed 209.
And he also cures Skyzar.
Oh.
You can cure him
Why
of
would you wanna do
his
that?
tumor.
I killed Kaiser every chance I got.
But you can also tell him to kill Kaiser during the surgery, and then so he gets murdered by the rest of the Legion, and you're like, I didn't do anything.
Fallout.
So yeah, we didn't see many. We saw the cowboy, and we tried to take in the Fallout New Vegas tour. But spoiler, not all of those things are in Vegas or in downtown. Some of them are quite far outside the city.
Yeah. I've always wanted to I've loved watching the video footage of the atomic test parties.
Yeah.
And I would like once in my life to see an atomic bomb go off, not killing people.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling we're going to see a bunch of
There
those.
was a lot of great shots of you'd see the Golden Nugget, like old Vegas, like the old strip with the Golden Nugget and the. I want to say the Atomic Wrangler, but it's not. Whatever the one has the cowboy on it, and you're looking off in the background, and at the end of the strip is just a mushroom cloud. And people were probably just like, "Oh, that's a nice thing to look at while I gamble."
Yeah. Meanwhile, their bones are becoming softer.
Yeah. So during Friday and Saturday were the main days of the big championship. I did see. I know Frontline Gaming made a big deal of pulling unpainted models this year, and
Of what?
pulling them off the table. So basically,
Really?
if a judge came by and you had an unpainted model, middle of the turn, doesn't matter, boop, it's gone.
Why does a judge need to be there for that?
I don't know.
Because people are incapable of self-officiating.
Yeah, I guess that is the reason. Now, I did see one person on Friday walking out of the main hall looking upset with a tray full of primed white models. So I don't know if he had his entire army pulled and if he threw a fuss. Apparently somebody threw a hissy fit about getting models pulled, but they made it abundantly clear that was going to be the case, and props to them for, for enforcing it.
We've never been that strict.
No.
We've never had to be, though.
I think we could have been stricter in the last doubles, triples event.
Yeah, last doubles.
The doubles or the triples?
The triples, I think.
Oh, the triples is just a random goofy thing that
Nick
Wilkins did.
Oh, no, yeah. Next, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the
Other
main events. Yeah.
Yeah, we've never run into it, and I think I would be opposed to pulling unpainted models. Yeah.
It's tough, though. Like, if every player pack says no unpainted models, and when you sign up it says no unpainted models, and you go on the site it says no unpainted...
Yeah,
what are you gonna...
For a bigger event, when you're in demand, it can do that. But, we're facing a problem with the Heresy event now, where we're if we say no unpainted models, a bunch of guys are going to drop out.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, LVO, a lot of it was being streamed. So
Yes,
a lot of
that's
it
a
was
huge
being
thing.
streamed on Twitch, and a lot of it was being streamed by the Warhammer 40,000 official community page. So
Yeah, that's
if
important.
you had unpainted models making it to the top tables, or even the mid tables that are being streamed, I'm sure the Warhammer community folks would prefer to be watching games of,
Oh, yeah.
It's not what the hobby's about, ultimately, right? The hobby is an all-encompassing thing about building toy soldiers, painting toy soldiers, and playing games with your toy soldiers. Right?
Yeah.
So
it's like watching a baseball game and one team's not wearing their uniforms. They're just all wearing random sweatpants and,
Okay, at least they're wearing clothes.
They're wearing clothes, but
Because
I mean, can we talk about baseball uniforms?
Could we? Yeah.
Because they're the only sports uniform that have belts.
Really?
Yeah. Like, it's like...
No, football have the weird belts.
What?
You ever seen a football belt?
No.
It's
Wrestling.
No, you win the belt.
Oh.
Yeah.
But like,
It's not part of the uniform.
It's just like, why are baseball players still dressed like milkmen?
Because they're so chill, man. They don't do anything. They just stand around.
Yeah, they run.
You want a
Well,
good story?
here and
Look
there.
up, look up the Rube.
The Rube?
The Rube, one of the best baseball players who's ever lived. He would run off the field to chase fire engines as they went by the stadium.
Oh yeah, he was insane, wasn't he?
But he was actually one of the, like, better than Babe Ruth.
Really?
One of the best baseball, but he was nuts. Just nuts.
The Rube, everyone. Yeah, you can just pause the podcast.
Go look it up, then
Go
come
look that
back.
up and then come back. Because it is. I know the story too. It is bananas. But yeah. So we were talking about.
So the Saturday event went on, more or less unsullied by our knowledge of it.
So you went down with, there was 4 of you total.
3 of us.
3 of you total. Did any of you participate in that?
Nope.
Okay, none of you guys decided to do it.
No, we did see Val when we were down there, and we saw Jeff Brown at some point.
Okay, did Jim end up doing the big tournament?
Yes, we saw Jim. Did Jim do the big tournament? He was definitely in games on the Friday and Saturday. I got to assume that he was in the big one. We didn't go down with him, but we saw him a few times, and he definitely took part in the RTT on the Sunday.
He did tell us he faced a list with 2 Fire Raptors, so.
Oh, well, then there you go. Probably in the big tournament.
Yeah.
2 Fire Raptors.
There was no shortage of nonsense-looking lists. One that sticks out was it had 10 Plague Burst crawlers. There was another that had 2 or 3 Fire Raptors and a Falchion, and from what I can tell, that was it.
Why?
I guess it would be a Flyer Wing and a Super Heavy Auxiliary.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess.
like
Can I
there's.
buy that Fire Raptor back? Adam, can I buy that Fire Raptor?
You go to hell, Nick.
Spray paint over your nice yellow
I'll
one.
lend it to you, and you can go to the LVO next year.
Oh, God.
So if you want, I can get into my games played.
I would love
Yeah,
that.
please.
Yes.
Skip right into the RTT. So Sunday, bright and early, we check out of the hotel and sign up for the RTT. The way they would do it is everybody gets in a big line. You just write your name down literally on a bracket, and then they were just said to me, like, you take this bracket and go stand at the table over there and like corral people and tell them to start at 1:30 or 9:30 or whatever. So since James,
You can do that?
Yeah.
As a TO?
Sure.
It's like,
This was-
welcome to the
okay,
team.
the big show, the top 8 guys, I'm assuming we're still playing the big show, but this was the everybody is hungover and like getting on the board for
Okay, so ragtag. Gotcha.
It's like 452 stragglers.
Yeah, in an 8-man tournament. So every 8-man group was a self-contained tournament, and like the guy who won ours won, I think it was like $100 gift card to the ITC store or something like that.
Cool.
But anyway, so I stepped a few paces back in line just so that Shane, Jesse, and I weren't all facing each other in round 1 because putting our names down on the bracket.
Yeah.
Shane took his Inquisition list, played against Chaos. I guess he had some trouble. There was a lot of Nurglings and maybe some of those trees. He was at the other side of the heath.
What
from me.
trees?
Nurgle has
Yeah.
trees now that you can fall back out of combat and still shoot.
So they give you cover.
and they give you cover.
They're cool.
They're like a terrain feature. The Corpulent Plague Maw, I want to say.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, they look like a
Sure.
tree with a mouth.
Yeah, they're weird looking. And they've got, like, the symbol of Nurgle kind of growing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And you like summon them in. You just be like, plop down. Okay, I get buffs here.
I get buffs,
It's
yeah.
kind of neat.
So I think that the Plague Burst Crawler list was using those, because if you charge the Plague Burst Crawlers, they're Nurgle, so you can just fall out of combat and vape whatever charged you. Apparently that's the theory.
Was this before or after the FAQ where they changed the demon from a keyword to a
They may not be
flash?
demons, they may just be Nurgle models.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So my first game was against Nose Marines, basically. Slaanesh Chaos Space Marines. I brought... Oh yeah, I didn't go over my list. So I brought 3 Knights. One was my Warlord. with a Avenger Gatling cannon and the Storm Spear missile pod on top. And then I took 2 Crusaders with no Carapace weapons because I didn't have the points. I took a squad of 4 Dragoons and 3 Cybernetica Datasmiths and 1 Tech Priest Engine Seer. It's a bit of a gimmick, but I thought it might work, so it was a Styges detachment for the AdMech, and the way that the ITC missions are set up, there's a lot of objectives all over the place.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you have to hold more than one of them. So my thinking was throw the Knights in the front, and then just use the Styges stratagem to infiltrate the characters onto all the objectives, and then they can't be targeted unless they're the nearest unit. And then I've got a basically 4-wound Terminator character just holding objectives.
I like it. I like the list.
In theory, I thought it might work, and it did sort of on the first game, although you had to hold 5 objectives in the first mission that I played, which is hard because I only had 8 units
To get the bonus
in my
point?
army. To get the bonus point.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Bonus points should be hard to get.
Yeah, they should be.
So, Slaanesh Chaos Space Marines, you had 2 squads of Noise Marines, some Deep Striking Oblitz, some Deep Striking Warp Talons, and a Leviathan with the Grav Flux Bombards, which are nasty, nasty, nasty against Titanic models, which was my entire army.
Oh, yeah.
So,
that's brutal.
Yeah. So,
2 of them?
no, he only had the 1.
Oh, okay.
So turn 1, focus fire on that.
2
Had the 2 Grav Flux Bombards, only 1 Leviathan. Yeah. So took it down to 1 wound on my first turn because I went first. And even with 1 wound remaining, it took 10 wounds off a knight in retaliation on his turn.
Still hitting on 4s.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, wow, if that had been heading on 2s, that would have been a whole night. And my little infiltrating Cybernetica Datasmith, who was hiding behind a wall because the lowest ruins block line of sight, on my second turn, poked out from behind the wall, 1 shot with the Gamma Pistol, killed the Leviathan. It was like...
Nice.
It was ours. The knight couldn't do it, but, have the little guy with the pistol shoot it.
You know that he twirled it around before he put
Yeah.
it back in its holster.
Rerolls wounds against vehicles. I mean, that's what it's supposed to do. Mm-hmm. But got the first turn charge off with the 4 unit of Dragoons into his Noise Marines and a Predator, which pretty much effed all of those.
That'll do it.
Noise Marines don't do a whole lot against Knights.
No.
So that was pretty much just clean up after that. So that went really well.
So by a night is what you're saying.
By 3.
By 3 nights.
Yeah. Or some of the small ones. Maybe the small ones are going to be really good.
I hope so.
So beside me, Jesse was playing against something. I don't know. I wasn't watching his game. But
fair.
Jesse's Chaos did really well. Jesse brought his... He had originally written a list and practiced with it with a soul grind. No, a Defiler and a Blood Slaughterer that he would use the Demon Rule to deep strike in and then charge.
Yeah.
And they changed it with the FAQ right before the event.
Good.
So he had to kind of gut his list and rewrite it.
I'm glad they changed it.
Yeah. Yep. But he ended up taking, I think, 5 Dreads or 5 Walkers of some design and his Knight.
Yep.
And his Punchy Demon Prince guy. So he won his first game, which meant Jesse and I were up against each other in round 2.
Wah, wah.
He made short work of me. That night, sitting in the corner with the double battle cannons is really hard to dig out because the 72-inch range and everything I had was 36. So, gonna run up there and, Knights or Dreadnoughts punching Knights works quite well.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Because your strength's 16, so
Yeah.
you're wounding on 3s?
Yeah.
No 2s.
2s?
Oh, yeah, 16 would be 2s. Yeah.
No, the Dreadnoughts are only
No, they're not
14.
all of them are. Because
Yeah.
he had a Contemptor, and he had a Decimator, and a...
Leviathan.
He didn't have a Leviathan.
No, he didn't have a Leviathan.
No, he's got the Decimator, 2 Hellbrutes, the Contemptor, and then the Defiler, and his Knight. So no shortage of walkers with punching ability.
And
Just
the thing
a
is,
bad man.
what's the one command point you get the reroll hits, reroll wounds on a Demon Engine,
the
which is
Demon
just
Forge.
You can,
Yeah,
it's just dirty. It's so good.
Oh, it's
you
great.
can get
But
re-roll hits on Dreadnoughts, too.
Chaos can't.
Okay.
But that's only Demon Engine, so that would only be the Defiler and the Decimator.
You definitely
Yes.
used it though.
No,
It's still good, yeah.
what are Hellbrutes?
They're Hellbrutes.
Yeah, they're not.
They don't have the demon keyword. Yeah.
Still, Decimator
It's still
is dirty.
Yeah.
So Jesse made pretty short work of me. He had repainted his. I don't know if you've seen his ping pong ball demon.
So
Yeah.
good.
His Kako demon, which was pretty awesome. It nommed up my characters and I think killed a knight too.
He's pretty huge. I bet he has huge guts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jesse was the only one who made it onto the finals in our little RTT. So he was up against somebody. So the guy I played against was from Calgary. Great guy. I can't remember his name, but he was really good to play against. And while everyone else was kind of finishing up, we were chatting with another guy who was there from Scotland. He lived in Houston now, but I guess he was a ETC player or whatever from there, and he had been in the tournament the previous day. So he and Jesse ended up facing off, and his list was more what I was expecting to see at LVO. So at first glance, I kind of thought it was what I would usually run. So he had 5 Castellan robots with all phosphor, and he had Call, and he had 2 neutron laser onagers. I'm like, okay, so that makes sense. And then he had Celestine, and he had 2 squads of 5 Space Marine scouts, and 3 squads of dropping scions.
Yep.
So he had a good mix of the Imperial soup.
Yeah.
And he ended up... Jesse gave him a hard game, but he ended up taking it. Those robots in the back, I think Jesse killed 1, maybe 2 the whole game. And yeah, Celestine did a ton of work.
Celestine does that.
That's-
She's sneaky.
Honestly, those lists are such bummers to me. Like,
Yeah, the Imperials seem to be able to just pick the best units and just be like, ha!
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, cool.
They have to. I like how we do our
Our
comp
comp?
system. Take out Chaos keyword. Take out Imperium keyword.
Yeah.
It's the only way to go. Because it's just like that's so dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that the scouts were there for was infiltrating and blocking deep. Oh, sorry, he had 3 assassins too. he had 2 Evisaurs and a Calexis.
Was there no limit on detachments?
I don't think so.
I want to get a look at that comp.
Oh, you know what? There may have been, but you can take all those in one detachment,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
right?
Yeah.
You just miss the faction keywords, which he doesn't care. Because so Celestine was his HQ for that one, and then he took 2 scouts as troops.
Yeah.
The Scions maybe as more troops than the elites.
Yeah, because I thought Act of Faith was a faction special rule.
No, it's just her thing.
It's just her thing.
Yeah, or whatever.
Yeah, she has her own one.
Yeah.
There is the army-wide one
Yeah.
as well.
But she can just give her bonus one to herself.
Yes.
Which is, what they did. So anyway, it was a well-run... I mean, I guess the RTT wasn't particularly well-run. I ran it. I mean, I pretty much just wrote names on a... Like, I was posting pictures of the brackets as we went, because I was the one writing it down.
That's so funny to me.
But...
But I kind of like that system as kind of like a casual tournament thing. Like, just show up, and if 8 people show up, then let's do a knockout thing. Because, I mean, you can always play the person who also lost that round, right?
Yeah, you can do a loser's bracket.
You can do a loser's bracket, and then
And that's
everybody
what-
gets through 3 games.
Jim showed up near the end, probably when Jesse was starting his last game. So he and Shane played a game,
Nice.
because Shane had only got the 1 game in that day, and...
He wanted more.
Well, we flew all the way to Vegas. I mean, it was a good... I really enjoyed myself. I know we took some flack for going all the way to Vegas and not playing in the main event, but that was
Who gave
what
you
we
flack
went
for
to
that?
do.
What do you think?
Who gave you flack for that?
That's Hogtail style right there.
Yep.
Yeah,
Hot
Go.
damn. Do what I like.
yeah. So, next year I would give the championship a try. One plus of it is that you're guaranteed to play your 6 games.
That's
so,
true.
like, ours was single elimination, so Shane, had he not played the pickup game, would have played 1 game all weekend. But, yeah, I also
Definitely
6 games over 2 days when you're in Vegas that's grueling. I can't believe Jim played as many games as he did, because he was playing in the RTT as well, and played up pickup
Oh,
games.
shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Jim smokes meth.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, well,
Yeah.
I would do it.
Banker, man.
Dude,
I think
dude.
he just injects, like...
Amphetamines, yeah, he doesn't sleep ever.
Also, he went out for dinner and they gave him an entire free bottle of wine with his dinner. Because it was like, oh, your dinner comes with wine. Like, a bottle.
Yeah,
of
because
wine.
he gave... Well, also,
Oh, I saw that picture.
Yeah, he's
Also-
just like, they just gave me a bottle of wine.
booze is so cheap in the States. compared to
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And also, he gave them meth.
Ah. Mm-hmm. Food was not as cheap as I would have thought.
No,
Like
food
like
in the States is not cheap.
an Americano at Starbucks, because that's the only place you can
Yeah.
get coffee, is like $4.50.
Yeah.
An American, and it's like,
So it's like
wait a
$10.
minute, that's more than it is in Canada, except with the exchange rate. Yeah,
Yeah, gas is cheaper.
I don't know,
But like
Maybe.
going to Florida, I remember like doing groceries and be like, that'll be $55. I'm like, that sounds about right. And
for
I was
a
like,
box of cereal.
I'm like, no, that's $55 American. I was like, why are these peppers $4?
Yeah.
This is nuts.
Yeah.
But
So great event. There were some hiccups. I guess we were kind of catching some news on the Saturday about how the stream that Games Workshop was, or the game that Games Workshop was streaming, only made it to turn 2. There was a lot of, if not deliberate slow play, just games not finishing. I finished both of my games with plenty of time, but that's because one was a sound tabling by me, and the other was me getting soundly tabled. So, I mean, that... Also, I had 8 units in 11 models total. So, yeah, I was going to finish my games.
There needs to be some enforcement of time limits.
Yeah. I don't... There's no perfect solution that I can think of.
I saw a good one. And it'd just be interesting in practice to see how it worked out. Like, you both get a reduction in your final score depending on what turn the game ended on.
Yeah, like...
Yeah.
Or, like, not even a reduction, but, like, if you play all allotted turns or someone's tabled, that's 5 points per player.
Yeah.
And you get points for every turn you finish. There you go.
I like that. Like
Yeah.
rewarding doing
Yeah.
it right rather than
Yeah.
penalizing
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
it wrong.
You boys all carrot, no stick.
That's it.
Yeah. No, it'll be interesting to see, and we've seen this with Chapter Approved, and ITC they'll make adjustments as well, changing missions.
Yeah.
So maybe you can't score in the first 2 turns.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I mean, the bonus for points as you go on, or the penalty for not going on, I think it's tough because you could have 2 different play styles, and even if it's not malicious,
Yep.
like if I'm there and I'm a casual gamer and I'm there to have fun and have a few beers and chat, and then my opponent's like, I need to win, I need to get in there and do the like top 8, and I'm like, I'll just move these guys and blah blah blah. Like, I could be taking a long time with my turns.
Yeah, you're in the wrong tournament then.
Perhaps, but they're also not going to pre-screen people for the tournament and say, like, are you a really chatty person? Like, and that's going to penalize my opponent.
And then
Yeah.
the time turns don't work because you could be a rapid fire player, and then the one thing that doesn't work with time turns is your opponent can slow you down in your own turn.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Or you could be playing a really quick army and then have, especially with 8th edition, a really, really complicated fight phase.
Yeah.
Like,
First turn charges, a lot of people brought up, because there's so many first turn charges now
That slows it down.
doubles the amount of dice rolling, all of the rerolls that you get in 8th.
Yeah,
Like, there's tons of rerolls.
remember when we started this podcast and we started talking about how 8th is going to be quicker? It's not.
No, it's
Because like game against Connor, I was like, you have 4 overlapping bubbles. You got a 5-up invulnerable save bubble. You got a reroll 1s bubble. You've got on 6s, I do an extra -1 AP, and I reroll 1s to wound bubble.
Yeah.
So like even now you're also doubling the shots because twin link weapons are gone,
Yep.
and you're rerolling all those misses. So I think the rerolls are actually
They're
more
worse.
now.
Yeah. Just look at the starter box. I mean, you've got your captain for your reroll your 2 hits, your lieutenants with reroll the wounds,
Yeah.
and then you've got your flag
Bang.
guy, magic flag guy. So you charge into combat with them turn 1, let's
Yep.
say, or your opponent charges you. You're rerolling all your hits, you're rerolling all your wounds, and every time you die, you're attacking again and rerolling all your hits and rerolling all your wounds. Like,
Yeah.
You're rolling for damage.
yep.
Nick's entire army gets another shooting phase.
Yeah.
True.
So I mean, they got to do something to fix it, but apparently it wasn't an issue down in the scrub level 40k and
That's fair.
the RTT.
I like scrub level 40k.
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said for knowing your army. And being well prepared, right? Like being quick on the dice, because it's a skill. I think you can learn that. I think it's
definitely.
certain people play slow because they're just not prepared. Certain people play slow, sure, because they're chatty, or they're just their head's in a different place or whatever. But I think you can learn to play fast.
Yeah, well, like when I was playing, even when we were playing Beer Hammer, Paul's like rolling his Leviathan hits And before he even starts rolling, he declares a shooting. I just picked up 20 dice. And I held them in my hand.
Yeah.
So that when he was like, oh, I wounded with 19, I'm like, oh, done.
Yep.
Oh, they're orcs anyway. So they're all dead.
Pre-counting your dice while your opponent's doing their movement. Put them all in groups of 5, or like with my AdMech, I put everything in groups of 3, because I think almost everything in the army either shoots or attacks in groups of 3.
Yeah,
The
great
Castellans, one of those Chessex cubes is 36 dice.
Nice.
That's 3 Castellans firing twice, or 6 Castellans firing once. The whole cube, it's easy to count.
Dude, the amount of times that someone will be shooting me, and I'm like, that's probably 8 wounds gonna go through, and I'll like pick them up, and it's like, yeah, throw out or pick up.
Yeah.
Just that kind of
Be ready.
But I think this is a good segue into one of the big issues that happened at LVO.
No, we're not going to belabor this one.
Not going to belabor that.
And hold on. So, and even not even just the issue, but let's talk about the top 4, the main tournament. What did we see? There was issues, of course. We all know this. If you have the internet, you know. But yeah, what did we see in the top 4?
Eldar.
Eldar, just wait.
There's at least one guard, right? Guard and Space Wolves?
Every edition, Eldar. Come on. And apparently, I've been reading some blog posts. The way that LVO does their terrain really lent it towards Eldar, because fast infantry does really, really well in the LVO style games with their terrain, because apparently you can like get infantry inside buildings where they're out of line of sight of vehicles, and vehicles can't move to get them.
Yeah, because they're in the second floor.
Yeah, they're in a second floor, or there's just no way to get through there. So fast-moving infantry is key right now in the ITC style of game.
Which is an interesting thing to consider, meta-wise.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so we saw in the top 4, was it 3 Eldar lists? There was at least 2.
2 Eldar lists.
2 in the finals, at least.
Yeah, the Space Wolf and Guard player, that's Alex.
Yep.
Who's the 4th guy? No, we should have been better prepared. But anyway, those are
whoever Nick played in the semifinals.
In the semi, which wasn't streamed.
Yeah.
Okay, so we saw some Eldar. What were the style of lists?
Dark Reapers.
Just for everybody. Yeah, so Dark Reaper spam.
With
one big
Yunari
unit.
Dark Reapers.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
Yunari
that I
Dark
missed.
Reapers get the, I think it's a stratagem or an army bonus where they can fire twice in a turn.
How would do it?
Yes, I know you're looking at me, Paul. Trust me, you've never been on the receiving end of 10 Dark Reapers before. It'll wipe out any infantry squad in the game.
I can imagine.
Yeah, we don't have that in our.
Oh, yeah,
gaming
because
group.
they have...
We do now. Cam Bond has he pulled that on me on Saturday.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So if you end up against Cam Bond in the list, I hope you have a way of dealing with 10 Dark Reapers next to a Farseer,
Yep.
because it's
Bolters.
they're range 48, and he can make them -3 to hit.
Lots of bolters.
No, they're
Good old Bolter. Nothing beats Bolter.
But I don't honestly don't get points because a missile launcher is 25 points,
Yeah.
right? Like Chaos Space Marine, even on Eldar vehicles, a missile launcher is 25 points. A Dark Reaper is 30 points.
This is what I have been saying. The missile launcher is always my go-to for, like, this game economy makes some semblance of sense, but it breaks down along certain
So for
lines.
5 points on a Dark Reaper,
Yeah.
you're getting never
Yeah, it
suffers.
sounded like it was going to be a declaration, and then I was like, actually, I don't care.
Yeah, you track that one back. Sorry, Nick.
No
Continue
worries.
on.
No. So for 5 points on Dark Reapers, you're getting can never hit on worse than a 3-up, even if they move, even if they're firing at a unit that gives them -1.
Yeah.
That's nuts. And then the big thing is their synergy, which we all talk about all the time. Is that synergy is usually taken into account when you're discussing points costs in 8th edition. You're like, why do Chaos Cultists cost more than an Imperial Guardsman? They have access to Legion tactics. You're like, okay, sure, that's worth an extra point per model. Great. So for 5 points, you're getting them -1 to hit. They're also aspect warriors, so they're pretty awesome. And their synergy with the Farseers and the stratagems in the Eldar list. And personally, I would take... They have a flat 3 damage missile launcher. I would take flat 3 damage over 6.
Oh, yeah.
D6
Orcs,
damage any day.
when you land with your Orc Tank Busters, that feels good.
Also, like... No, I had a point, and it's gone.
Yeah. Dark Reapers are going to get hit with a nerf. They also have the secondary fire mode, which is strength 5, 2 shots, -2 AP, 2 damage.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 20 strength 5, AP -2, 2 shots.
So Terminator killers, gotcha.
Yeah, it's
And
comparable to like a Grav Gun or something.
Yep.
The Exarch has the no line of sight shooting.
Yeah, you can
the 3-shot missile.
You can upgrade it to them, yeah.
And so generally the NRE lists were the big unit of, I think it's actually 8, not quite the full 10,
Yeah.
with the Exarch, and then 3 units of 3 Shining Spears, and the characters to boot with Wave Serpents for units and stuff like that.
That brings up a big list design point for the LVO, is the secondary missions. So we played them in our Hogtown event, but you really wanted to design your list so that your opponent could not pick their secondary mission to get points easily off of your list. So, for example, one of the secondaries you can pick is kill a unit that has 10 or more models.
So always take 9.
So you always take 9. Or an Imperial Guard squad with one of them swapped out for the heavy weapons team. That heavy weapons team is 1 model. So that 10-man Imperial Guard squad becomes 9. So every Imperial Guard squad had 1 heavy weapons team in it, so it didn't count for that secondary. I always gave up secondaries because one of them is Gangbusters. Kill a unit with like 5 or more wounds. So my Dragoons, that's 4 right there. That's the max you can get for the secondaries. So, that's probably why they weren't taking the full squads of the Dark Reapers.
Makes sense. Cool. So that's our top 4.
Top 3.
Minus the random miscellaneous person who didn't get streamed.
Probably Eldar.
Yeah.
Okay, and so in the semifinals, we saw kind of the first incident occur.
I think the biggest, the big incident that people talked about.
Yeah, and so this is a game with the guy who wasn't Eldar. He was the Space Wolf and Guard. Was there Blood Angels in him too, or is that somebody else? So Space Wolves and Guard. He ran quite a different list. Like, this is a list that nobody was expecting. Quite a gentleman named Alex. A bunch of Thunderwolf characters that could easily break off and take objective points or charge off against deep striking units and stuff. Obviously the guard screen all around, and then a Unari player.
Yeah.
And so how did it go? Who wants to tell the story?
I think some of the biggest points that stuck out for me that gave me a really bad taste in my mouth was...
So tell the story first.
So, but I'm going to tell it narrative.
Okay.
And I wanted to go back to what I was talking about when we were talking about know your list.
Yeah.
Right? If you're in the top 4 tables, there's no way that your shooting phase should take an hour. Right? Back into know your list. If you're making it all the way up there and your first turn's taking an hour...
So Nick, tell the story, because
Okay.
nobody knows what you're talking about.
Yep.
So basically...
He was doing it narrative.
Yeah. So basically, because that was the point I wanted to make earlier. So the Eldar player took over an hour on his first turn, and this is up for debate. It's all on, like, it's streaming, so it's really hard to get a read on it. But when it was the Imperial player's turn, I don't know, you can disagree or agree with me. I got the sense that the Eldar player was kind of hurrying him along with a sense of time and urgency to finish up his turn, because the Imperial player was moving. The Imperial player, I think, again, this is all just what I viewed, wanted to speed the game up. We used to do this all the time in 7th edition. We do it in the Horus Heresy, where we run a unit in the movement phase.
Yep.
Where it's supposed to be done in the shooting phase, because it helps speed the game up. So the Imperial player put down a deep striking model. The Eldar player helped him measure the 9 inches. Once he put down the deep striking model, he went to go back and move other models and was told that's the end of your movement phase because you placed the deep striking model. The Space Wolf player looked at him, knew he was wrong, knew there was there's no logical argument to get out of that, and was about to concede, and then started to become my goddamn hero by realizing that this game was being streamed on Twitch, and played out a game that he knew he would lose. So he finished off the game, got destroyed, but again, he played it out, even though he knew that he had made a mistake. So played out the thing, played out the game, and basically lost first turn due to
not having a movement phase.
Yeah. In a very movement oriented
against a very shooty army.
Yeah.
Again, the Eldar player was not wrong in making that call.
Yeah, so here comes so you hear the story, and so here comes the issues, right?
Yeah.
As we have 2 people playing a game against each other, right? And there are a set of rules around it. which are you move like this, you shoot like this, right?
Yeah.
There's like game rules around this. But because there's two players interacting outside of the game rules, there's this kind of like level of etiquette that comes along with how we should interact around this. And so the issue comes when the other player is helping the Eldar player is helping the Space Wolf player along in executing these things. And in a time-based thing, right, we all get a little frazzled, especially if the Eldar player has already taken an hour of the 2.5 hours, or maybe 3 in the final round.
So yeah, 1/12 of the game has taken, 2/5 of the allotted time.
Right, which is a big deal.
Yeah, huge deal.
Yeah.
And there's a certain, I think there's, the rage comes around, there's a certain level of gentlemanliness that should come from playing this with an actual person on the other side, right?
And there was a great blog post by the Frontline Gaming guys, and I think it boils down to the question of, you have to ask yourself, is this how you want to win? Like, if you're going to go all the way to the semifinals and then to the finals, like, I wouldn't be able to live, like, it's just Warhammer. First of all, I want to make that point. This is not a big deal.
Yeah, which
This
Reese
is
also
Warhammer.
makes that point.
Yeah, but like, I would hate myself. Like, I would be up at night if I was like, even if I was just playing a game against Paul in a friendly tournament.
A common Paul.
You're sitting right next to me, and I did something like that to him. First of all, I don't think he wanted to be my friend anymore.
Yeah, I'd just be like, what the man?
Yeah.
Like,
And second of all, I would hate myself.
it's honestly, I do think you have to expect this level of like gaminess at that. Like, you have this tournament that's its culture is about, like, you know, just being the best, and that is a big mistake to make. I'm not saying that I would have handled it like that, because like I've been in situations where it's like, well, I don't want to win a game like that. Like, just do whatever you were gonna do. And
I agree with you, but
Part of playing the game is knowing the rules.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's the point.
yeah,
If you want to be the best player, you should know the sequence of the game.
Yeah.
No matter what the off-table pressure, no matter what is going on in your mind, you need to stay composed, and you need to play the game as if it's the game that is written in the rules,
Yes.
right?
But if someone does something, if my opponent does something that is so blatantly incorrect like that, like goes against strategy, I am definitely going to be like, do you want to do that now? Because that means the end of your turn.
yeah, because if Paul, if for another example, because Paul's to my right, Paul is a Leviathan Dreadnought. There's one orc boy in a squad. There's a squad of 30 orc boys over here. If he shoots that one orc boy, I'm going to be like, okay. If he forgets to shoot the Leviathan, I'm going to say, do you want to shoot the Leviathan?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that the counter argument that I've seen come up a lot is either with Magic the Gathering, which is very order of operations heavy, or even something like chess. I mean, Warhammer is not chess, let's not kid ourselves. But
Yeah,
chess is decided on who makes the first mistake, basically, right? So, like, to say, oh no, you gotta take backsies, or like, oh, we'll just kind of like there's no sportsmanship. It's like pure strategy. So if you're thinking of 40k in a purely competitive sense like that, and it's like whoever doesn't make any mistakes will be the one who wins, then it's like, I definitely disagree with how it was done and why it was done and everything leading up to it being done, but it's hard to say that he was wrong given that there was a cash prize and it was the biggest competitive event in 40k.
Right, but let's add another layer to this discussion, and that we talked about this before the podcast started. These guys are the ambassadors and the people, like, people look up to these guys.
Yeah.
And you have to hold yourself, if you're going to be streaming at the largest event in North America, you have to hold yourself to a higher standard.
I don't believe that.
Yeah.
Because if we're taking that tactic, it's like, well, professional athletes need to hold themselves to a higher standard, and that's why they often cheat to win. Like, that's
Well, again, this is different. This is a game based on a lot of subjectives. It's not all just hard rules.
Yeah, but if we're leaning towards the sports analogy, so many sports calls are subjective. There's a dude in a striped shirt being like, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that."
I wasn't leaning towards the sports.
Or here's another example, because it has to do with our, with morality and what we think is right and all this kind of stuff. So let's say there's a let's say it's a sports player who's one of the best in the league, and he does dogfighting on the side.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Should that guy still be allowed to play sports?
Well, it's a crime. So, he should not be allowed to play sports.
Yeah, but we're all cool with Michael Vick again.
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
Is he still QB for the Eagles?
No, he got traded, but he's like,
he's
still in the league, and no one's shot him with a bullet gun.
Right? So it's a valid point, right? We should actually expect this, because what happens at the top level filters down to what happens in the living room.
Yeah, they're setting the standard for everybody else. Especially now that this is being streamed for the first time. This is huge now.
Totally. Yeah. And so I guess the question could become, for Paul's sake, is what do we put in place to officially to make sure that this stuff is taken care of? Right?
Yeah, it's a real tough one. We've struggled with just in our tiny little corner of the Warhammer world on how to do sportsmanship scores, because checklists don't work, ratings don't work.
I like the top 3 ranking.
The top 3
that we did.
That one's been the most effective,
but that wouldn't apply here.
No, or the thumbs down. Top 3 ranking plus thumbs down.
Yeah, but you could I don't think what's the guy's name?
And there's only 2 people left.
Reese?
How do you do a thumbs up, thumbs down?
Well, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I don't know.
You need, honestly, at that point, at that level, you need a ref.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You need someone at the table.
So there were 7 judges at LVO.
Yeah.
Policing 460 players on 230 tables.
Yeah, for
that. The ability for those 7 judges, they needed more judges.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know, maybe none of those judges got called for anything. Maybe they were bored the entire time. But there also could have been rules shenanigans going on on every single table the entire time, and it just wasn't streamed.
But once you get to the semifinals, you need just give them a robe and a staff. We've got an entire population predisposed to loving trappings.
Yeah. So moving past that, we've all established that we're kind of on different. Did you guys actually read the blog post by Reese?
Yeah.
I didn't read the one by Reese. No.
And the actual response from the player who
I saw the response, but that was I saw it posted on another.
So
blog.
He even admitted that what he did was wrong,
but he gave the.
I feel bad.
He gave the man accused of sexual harassment lately response, which is, that's not really who I am. It was sort of the heat in the moment. And it's that's what anybody would say.
We're not equating these things.
No, we're not. But, okay, sorry. I'm just saying, how many times has somebody screwed up and then later apologized and said that that's not who they are?
Yeah.
It's
in sober retrospection, I wish I hadn't done that.
Exactly, that's what it means. It means he wish he hadn't done it.
There's 2 points.
Yeah.
One, he says it was the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
That's a separate point from, I was under stress, this is not who I am. Those are 2 completely separate points. He's admitting that it was the wrong thing to do, and then he's given a reason for why he did it, although...
The internet was forming a lynch mob for him. Of course he's going to apologize, rather than saying, no, I stand by my dick move.
Yeah. But, no, I mean, if you still have to, take people at their word. If he admits that he did the wrong thing, he could have said, it was an asshole thing to do. I was under stress, and I was an asshole. Yeah. You don't have to say that was the wrong thing to do. No, but he said it was the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
So you're admitting that you know that it's the wrong thing to do.
Yeah. Did you want to cover the second chapter of this?
Yeah, we did.
I take issue with that because I felt like that was I'm getting revenge for my friend. It was just okay, dude, that's great.
Yes.
Well, let's just tell the story, because it's due diligence to people listening.
Do you want me to cover it off?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
So the Eldar player makes it into the finals, plays against another Eldar player, and at some point, forgive me if the details aren't quite clear because I don't know the stratagem, But there's a stratagem that you need to use, I believe, in your movement phase when you advance with your Eldar to be able to then charge in the assault phase.
Yes.
So, Eldar player moves, advances with his unit, gets the shooting phase is done, gets the assault phase. His opponent immediately says, okay, those guys advanced, they can't charge. And he says, oh, well, I was going to use the stratagem.
But that's so much more cut and dry.
No, it's absolutely cut and dry.
Yeah.
But even if the intent was there, the Eldar player, the Eldar player who the last game had called somebody on the deployment, was saying, well, and immediately starts to argue why he should be allowed to use the stratagem now.
Yeah.
And the response of the other Eldar player was essentially, look, I don't want to play that kind of game, but you just did it in the last game.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to let you take backsies on this.
I mean, emotions and personal feelings aside, those are two completely separate situations where it's like, this must be done in the movement phase.
Yeah.
And there was no,
we are talking about something 2 turns later.
Yes.
But, there's certainly games that I've played where I've let somebody do that, right? Like, somebody misses their psychic phase, and they go on to the shooting phase, and they're like, crap, psychic phase. You're like, yeah, do your thing, right? And if you're a friendly player and you've got to, it's possible.
I do that once per game.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because, I've been in situations playing with people, and they're like, oh, I forgot to do that. And I was like, okay, just remember it next time.
Yeah.
And then it actually happened again, where it's like, oh, I meant to do this. I was like, come on, man.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And I think it wasn't so much in that he called him on it. It was that when he was called on it,
he
immediately started arguing why he should be allowed to do it, even though he missed it when an hour earlier.
And the argument is that for the sake of saving time, and we could maybe equate these a little bit. For the sake of saving time, he said, these guys are going here. You know what I'm doing because we both play the same list. It wasn't that explicit, but you can imply that.
Unless you're moving the command point dial, you're not spending a command point dial.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. But you don't have to have a dial. You can keep track of it in your head.
Show me in the rule book
That's
where they
true,
say
right?
there's a command point dial.
That's fair.
The dial's kind of for your own memory.
Yeah.
Yep.
So my issue is, and when you watch it, he says it very offhandedly. Hey, I'm going to move these guys here. You know what I'm doing, which is a very subjective type of comment. You can read that anyway. And when he starts arguing it after the fact, he said, hey, dude, remember when we had this understanding? Like, I moved these guys, and I was like, you know what I'm doing, you know what I'm doing, you know what I'm doing. And he kept repeating this line. It's like, well, you didn't make it as clear as that the first time around.
And also, there's no concrete noun or verb in there.
Yeah.
It would be different. It was like, I'm going to use that stratagem. You know the one. And then, you forget to do that.
Right.
That's more like you declared something and you just didn't resolve that.
Yeah.
That's a way bigger thing. But if you're like, the thing.
Yeah, moving models around is great. It's Warhammer. And so,
you know what I'm doing.
2 turns later, hey, the thing that I was doing,
and
that thing.
2 phases later, get out.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, one phase I'd be willing, but if something is specifically stated to happen in the movement phase, if you're said, okay, I'm going to shoot now, and then said, oh, I forgot to do this. Yeah. Go.
Yeah. It's like, oh, yeah. Because it's not like you're punching a clock on your faces.
No.
But which they did introduce chess clocks
Yeah.
to the game after the semifinals that we talked about, where the first turn took an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no shortage of chess clocks at LVO because all the War Machine players. Oh, you didn't even mention War Machine. Yeah, there's a huge War Machine event too.
That's War Machine.
So the chess clocks all over the place. So they did introduce timers for that last game.
Yeah.
And now here's
Which means it was such a big concern, and they knew that something was going to happen, and they waited until it happened to step in and do something about it.
But if they didn't wait for something to happen, here's conspiracy theory, tinfoil.
Yeah.
If they didn't wait for something to happen, that would divide the entire community. You need these high profile.
Yeah.
I think you just need friendly reminders from judges being like, you need to speed this game up. You're slowing it down.
Well, this is what I'm saying about having a judge on the table. Yeah. But these changes won't get implemented unless there is something that polarizes the community. Because no matter who you talk to and what side they're on, they're like, yeah, we should probably clarify that because we don't like ambiguity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, subjectiveness is fine. Ambiguity is some hard crap.
Game's ambiguous.
But we're also in Vegas, where people are playing games of dice,
Yep.
poker, blackjack. Millions are being won and lost
Yeah.
on games of chance, right across from this where this is going on.
Yeah.
Like,
A Japanese
and if you
businessman
accidentally make a
bet
bet,
a whale.
right? Like, there's no take backsies in Vegas.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, but Warhammer is just so different, and this is why I do have. I can't wrap my mind around the super competitive aspect of 40K because it's so subjective. It's so,
Says the most competitive guy in early.
Yeah,
But, like, the subjective argument doesn't work
Yeah.
because every competition is subjective. If there's a rule, there's an arbitrary.
Yeah, but
there's an arbiter of the rules.
but I could model my scouts kneeling down. You could have your same squad of outfitted scouts standing up. If we're on different if you're looking over, you can see me, and you back up an inch, you can still see me, but I can't see you. Like the different squad sizes. If you do a conversion, like, are you modeling for advantage? Who draws the line there?
So
What's the-
someone it is subjective,
Yeah.
and it needs arbiters.
yes,
what you're saying is-
arbitrators,
Infinity has those little cutouts, right?
arbiters.
So-
are the guy
Yeah,
from
yeah,
Halo.
yeah, I know.
Arbites?
No,
I'm actually looking.
We
up
need
that.
arbites policing these games.
it's arbitrator.
I mean, ultimately, what we're saying is it's hard to judge the hearts of men, right?
Yeah,
How do you
oh,
know
yeah.
intention? How do you know all this stuff? And I would say to the what's his name, Tony?
Yeah.
To Tony, I would say, hey man, you played with a list you didn't write, with an army that wasn't yours, with models that you broke that weren't yours,
Or
and,
they didn't
failed to
fix.
fix.
Yeah.
While your opponent was at the table. This is the game against Alex, who was the total gentleman. While your opponent was actively fixing his models before that game started, and while you were taking an hour in your movement phase, he was sitting there fixing his own models so that his army was perfect and accurate and represented well, while you made excuses on stream for why you should not glue your models back onto their bases and just move bases around. And as
I
much
missed that part.
Also, an arbiter is a person empowered to decide matters at issue, such as a judge or umpire.
Okay, there you go.
I know words. I know words.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and so at a certain level, we can look at this, and there's enough factors in there to say, hey man, like, we knew what you were there for. You may say you're not that person, but all signs point to you're kind of that person right now, and you kind of deserve what's coming to you.
What we do under periods of stress, and I'm not going to use the word extreme because it's a Warhammer game. What we do under periods of stress show who we truly are.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. In vino veritas, but with not vino.
Now, to give him some hope, I think most of us believe in forgiveness and grace and redemption. So come back next year to the LVO with an original list, an army that you painted, and have some fun and get back in the top 4 and try it again.
Yeah. And I want to talk about a couple positive things that came out of this.
Yeah.
First of all, one of the dudes from who
League of
runs
Legends?
League of Legends gave, I can't do names tonight, Alex,
Yeah.
Alex, a $5,000 sportsmanship prize. Do you know what Alex did?
Give it to charity.
Gave it to a hospital.
That is, that's like just a crazy dunk on just the idea of like being rewarded, where it's like, meh, yeah, fine, I'm good.
Yeah.
And 5,000, interesting number because it's more than the finals were worth in the LVO. I mean,
4,000?
4,000 for the LVO prize.
So that's huge. That's a huge positive that came out of this. So huge kudos to him. It's got to be absolutely soul shattering to because again, he knew he made a mistake. He knew there was no logic in arguing it. And the second positive thing I think that came out of this is Warhammer is really exploding. And with streaming and the way Games Workshop's been handling their social media and really turning it into a kind of spectator sport, the conversation about sportsmanship, which we've been having as players for our entire time playing, is now something that the entire community needs to address and figure out and not just argue about on forums. When you show up to a pickup game, there should be an expectation. It shouldn't be like, oh, is this going to be the kind of game where I'm expecting that? Or is this the kind of, like, obviously,
Yeah.
right, somebody being like, oh no, I made a mistake in the shooting phase, that was a turn ago, I'm not going to let you go back and do that. You should never expect that. You should never expect to be able to, I shot at that target, I should have done, that's not what I'm talking about.
But they're like, if you go play ball hockey, there's still people that are like way too into it. Like that, that's so hard to eliminate.
Oh, I know. But it's a conversation that needs to happen, and especially at big events like this, and every event, you're never going to be able to stop the person who shows up with a white painted army of Castellan robots at the local game store and just blows you off the table when you're a new player. Never going to be able to stop that. But you should have an expectation of sportsmanship and what that means across the board.
Do we want Smokey or do we want Walter? Over the line!
It's not NAM, man. There's rules.
It's Warhammer. There are rules.
And I'm just interested to see what's going to come up of this conversation, because it's something that I think everybody in the hobby has to really think about.
And it's going to define what I think the ITC wants to be. Do they want to be not an e-sport, but do they want to be like a darts or billiards or any other sort of oddly casual pub sport that's now become a legitimate big money event? And if so, they need to police themselves and their players, I think, accordingly, and put a charter together or what have you.
Yeah.
And if that trickles down to more casual players, then so be it. But I'm sure that like billiards and darts etiquette, if you're a big darts player, I'm sure you pay attention to what's sort of acceptable and not, and some form of that trickles into your darts playing.
Oh, 100%. And, I mean, I was getting a little bit more comfortable with the competitive scene, and until Reese came out with that blog post, this thing really was just like, if I went to an event and this happened to me, I would probably stop doing the hobby for like a month or two and really re-examine my life. Because I would not have been able to be so calm about that.
Yeah.
That would have made me angry, upset, and frustrated. And if I experienced that from a Warhammer game, why am I playing this hobby?
I think I would just end up asking the question. So that's what you're. Oh, all right. Yeah. It wouldn't even be a question. It would just be like stammering of like. So that's your life, hey? That's what you're doing?
I think that's why
with
you get
this
people
3 hours of my life. Cool,
Yeah.
cool. That's what I signed up for, I guess.
And now Paul's upset. Why do you want to play a hobby that makes you feel like that?
I don't know. I do lots of stuff
If
that
you
makes
flew
me
to
feel like
Vegas,
this.
flew to Vegas for 2 days, 3 games in each day, and turn 1, game 1, your opponent takes an hour to deploy, and then calls you on that the first time you touch a model.
Yeah.
like
we've all gone to tournaments where there's been every other game but one was great.
Yeah.
And that one game just sours your experience. And not even that badly, but it's like the one you recall.
Yeah.
You want to go to have a good time. That's the point. You're going to have fun. And if you're not having fun, well, at least for me, why would I do that?
I'm calling it next year, 20 people in the championship, 460 in the RTT on Sunday. It's just only going to be casual players.
But, again, LVO was fantastic. I love just paying attention to the coverage and all the stuff that was going on. I'm really excited for 2018 for the hobby, because everything's just hitting out of the park nonstop at the events, the live streams. I actually like live streams more than I like battle reports. Quite a bit.
Cool.
I find it difficult to watch either. I can't get into them.
Battle reports are great when you want to like understand an army and all that kind of fun stuff, but like trying to come at it from a more competitive mindset, like when you're really looking at tactics and
Psychology,
it's like,
man.
yeah, you're really getting that a lot on the stream.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's our soapbox, and I think we all agree with the final statement was that he wasn't wrong in doing it, but it was the wrong thing to do.
I mean, we don't have to agree on everything, but that's probably where I fall.
Yeah.
I've got a lot less of a problem with it, I think, than you do. Because, like, I think maybe it's because you want to expect more from your fellow man.
Yeah.
And I expect much less from my fellow man.
That's fair. Yeah, I tend to be an optimist when it comes towards people, and that's bitten them in the ass before. But
And I'm a pessimist, and I'm right as often as you, but I'm usually mad.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so I think actually to summarize his article, the point was his question is, where are our role models for Warhammer 40k? And he pointed at Alex and said, that's a role model for Warhammer 40k.
Yeah.
That's who we should be like. Not that we shouldn't be like those guys, but we should really be like Alex.
Yeah.
The humility, the just the effort, that is stuff to be modeled. He specifically put it in brackets. Thinking of others, right?
Yeah.
He knew he lost, but let's keep going because there's a Twitch stream watching.
Yeah.
Right? This is our role model. Let's look to him for examples. Who do we want to be like when we play Warhammer? We want to be like Alex.
That's honestly, finishing your game when you know you're going to lose it is one of the, classiest things you can do.
Yeah.
All around.
Yeah. So we said we didn't want to spend too much time on this, and we spent a ton of time on this.
That's fine. That's bound to happen.
But,
Cool.
yeah. And I'm also upset at myself that something this insignificant has made me so upset.
Dude, it's...
So I got to re-examine my hobby.
Just go read Trump's Twitter feed, come back to this, you'll be like, LBO, not a problem.
Not an issue.
Rolls right off.
Did you just call it LBO?
Did I?
I think you did.
Whatever.
And
The
if you
Las
did-
Vegas Open, that's what I went to, right?
It was in the back of a cube truck.
Yeah. Oh, and just shout out to Shane and Jesse, who were good guys to travel with. And Shane was on top of the games that were being played and the controversy and what was going on, checking out lists, while Jesse and I kind of just did Vegas-y things and wandered around with them. So, props to Shane for actually focusing on the Warhammer part of that trip.
I do want to do a bracket knockout tournament.
Yeah?
That'd be a lot of fun to do.
I mean, we can have a secondary bracket.
No.
The B bracket. Yeah.
People who show up are getting 3 games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody who shows up is getting 3 games, but I just love that kind of head-to-head
Yeah.
idea.
It was
Bad news. You're a TO now.
Yeah.
I love that.
Hey, I've got experience. TO experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so should we just roll right into fun time? I think you're ready to go.
Fun
time.
All right, so someone on the Twitch stream wanted to hear a haiku about Dorn.
Is this Nanomizer?
I think it was Nanomizer. I think so, but I mean, everyone loves poetry. So
We just need to know who to give the free stuff to.
yeah. So the haiku that I've written is
Fortify position. Protector, then Scourge. Hot Rage. Gold Sun, most loyal.
that's my haiku.
Okay, so now we each critique. That was just part of it. You read the haiku, we all
Yeah.
critique it. Okay.
Golden Sun.
I know, but then
No, yeah, because that's a haiku.
yeah, because of a form.
Yeah.
Is his rage hot?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, Dorn's noted for his hot ragers.
I always pictured him as a smolderer.
Yeah, but when he freaks out, he freaks out.
Remember when he tried to kill Garrow?
Because Garrow was like, "Hey,
Istvan happened. And he's like, no, it didn't!
Oh, right.
that couldn't have happened." And then
No, you can try and kill him. Garrow was just really intimidated by him.
I think he struck him, and a Primarch striking most things is
He's dead.
Yeah.
so Garrow's
But he only has a chainsaw. So.
No, remember Petarabo...
He only needs a
doesn't
chainsaw.
Him and Gabriel Seth.
Yeah, you tell Alferis who only got a chainsword.
Petarabo doesn't even have weapons. He just punches people.
Does he?
Although his fists
Doesn't he have a
have
hammer?
rows of guns on them.
No, his model doesn't have a hammer.
Yeah, he
Oh,
does.
okay.
Comes with either fists or the...
Oh, but you can play him without a hammer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
good.
Gun hands. Gun hands.
I feel like you want to
Say it
something.
again?
Yeah. Gun hands?
Yay!
Oh, I love Petarabo.
He's the best.
So cool.
Okay, so here, one more time, just for everybody out there.
Fortify position, protector, then scourge, hot rage. Gold sun, most loyal.
That's beautiful.
Alright?
That's the thing, dude. And you know what? You didn't even scratch anything out on there. That was just one shot, one take. Just pure beauty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just,
Great haiku.
I've got a poet's heart, what can I say?
And so, what does this? What does it say
A
about?
pessimistic poet's heart.
Fortify position. You know, what are you speaking to there?
That's just straight up Imperial Fist, that's what they do.
Yeah, the defenders, right?
The Castellans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you got a free minute, you should be digging a trench.
Protector then Scourge. Talk about this.
So, he was the most loyal son.
That's the last line.
Oh, yeah. Protector. He during the heresy, he essentially inherited the mantle of War Master. So he became the controller of all military assets of the Imperium. So he's kind of pushing that around. Except for more autonomous stuff like the Space Marine Legions.
And the Imperium Secundus, which were just doing their own thing because they're traitors.
More independent parts as per my last comment. So like he's sort of defending the Imperium, just trying to figure it out with him and Malcador and Valdor. And yeah, so then
Connor just he translated that second line. So it's Protector, then Scourge. Connor translates it as
he protect,
he
attack. Yeah, but then like once the Emperor is wounded, he's like, oh no, everyone's got to burn, and that's when they take their big crusade.
The Scouring,
yeah. So Scouring, Scourge.
Yeah, no, it's great. I love the call. I instantly got it.
Yeah,
I love the callback.
Hot Rage because he's so mad.
Yep.
And then Gold Sun, Most Loyal. Mm-hmm. He's got golden armor. He goes back and like tends the farm. He's the second-born son. The first-born son goes off and makes his own thing.
You ever looked into the Dornian heresy?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It is really cool.
What are you talking about?
It's an alternate future history of when Dorn was the War Master and he turned traitor instead of Horus. And like the loyalist legions were actually the ones that turned traitor.
Now here's the thing.
Hold on, where does this come from?
It's just fan fiction,
but
stuff.
It's cool. It's fun.
Cool, but there's nothing more like poisonous to a conversation than there's a fan theory where I'm like,
Dorn is a furry, and the Emperor is also a furry.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: did Horus actually turn to chaos, or was he?
He was turned.
He was turned, or was like because there's some shenanigans.
I don't think Horus... No, and I think that was why Horus lost the fight against the Emperor, because the last moment he hesitated, and the Emperor was like, I never really thought of you as a son anyways. Just stabbed him.
And, like, destroys his soul.
Yeah.
Like...
Because the Emperor never really cared about the Primarchs, whereas the Primarchs revered him like a father. So I think... Yeah. That's what happened to me.
Yep.
Anyways.
I never thought of you as a son. Well, it's funny because when Dorn's...
So fucking bad.
Well, here's the thing. When Huskarl... Dorn's Huskarl dies so he can end up killing Alferis, like, Dorn is like...
Spoiler alert.
Oh, internet. Dorn's like, I failed you, my son. And he's like, I'm not your son, I'm your praetor. Yeah. And then he dies, and he's like, oh shit, I guess that's how that goes. Like...
My feelings, that was a bad idea.
I'm not your friend, buddy.
I'm not your guy. But... So that's why the Dorn model is just like holding the sword looking in the middle distance.
When does he fight Night Lords?
Night Lords?
Yeah.
Terra, I would say.
Because they modeled him on that base with dead Night Lords all around him.
Yeah, they just painted him like that. But it would be Terra.
Yeah, I think if you look at the video of the guys in charge of helping with the concepts for the poses and stuff, I think they wanted him to look like he was defending Terra.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know Paul's going to paint a whole bunch of purple dudes.
No, yeah.
Yeah. Do they make them nondescript so you can paint them whatever you want?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Fulgrim one...
it's got a broken...
It's got a
standard on it.
It's got a broken Emperor's Children standard.
Yeah.
And I think there's about a half dozen guys strewn around on the base, and I think like one or two of them have bionics, so they're quite obviously supposed to be Iron Hands.
Yeah, I'm definitely doing.
And you painted them because you painted my Fulgrim, and I asked you to paint them all Iron Hands because Connor.
I was wondering if I want to paint that, like the dead one, as either an Imperial Fist or somebody, because it makes more sense that it would be his own guys piled up around him, because it's like, I'm not going out there, I got guns.
It's true. But I also know you want to throw a purple dude on there.
Oh yeah. Real shade.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
So you actually got a little bit of art out of today's podcast. Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
It's always a piece of work when we get together.
Yep. This one went way over time.
Good. That's fine.
Say goodnight, Matt.
Good night, Matt.